Surveyor.
Looking out upon the shore, I found balance and so much more. It's getting clearer all the time. All we see are all these dead straight lines, and show me what's in reality. And I won't compromise between the truth and lies. This is where I make my stand. Please don't take me to your la la land. It's all about geometry. All we see is horizontally. Show me what's in reality, and I won't compromise between the truth and lies. Show me what's in reality, and I won't compromise between the truth and lies. Reality is all I see. I don't need your fantasy. I've had enough of sophistry. I'll find my own philosophy. Reality is all I see. I don't need your fantasy. I've had enough of sophistry. I'll find my own philosophy, and you can't bend reality into what you think your cognition sees. Something's happening to me. Don't remind me of how things used to be. We don't need no sycophants. Aren't we all just so sick of that?
And we are live. Welcome everyone. It is well, it's hump day, isn't it? We've got a bit to go over. I've been working this theory for quite a while. Sort of in the background, what we've been doing over the years that we've been around here, obviously. Something didn't seem right within this arena. From defending flat earthers to realizing that certain flat earthers are purposely destroying themselves for really strange reasons. seems as though they've dealt themselves into following the narrative of globe, let's say, frantic bunny ears. So this industry's been created, I think. I call it the Flat Earth Society. Goes all the way back to Robotham. He wrote a load of numbers down, gave everybody the Flat Earth Society, and tried to give the globe, frantic bunny ears, a chance to be able to fight against a not that. Because that's what all of this is. This is all about a not that. Things that don't actually exist. The flat earth is one of them, right? It's a contradiction. It's an automatic nonsense whenever you hear it. So nobody can actually comprehend it. Obviously, it's not about the earth being flat, because it's not flat. It's dead easy to be able to say that. But there's a group of people that have put themselves into this arena as though they're fighting about it is being flat. And I know Nathan Oakley said, right, so this test was, we've gone into logic, and I'm quite proud of the gains that I've got through an understanding of logic, and you know, the conversations that go around it, and the extra sort of thought. Now I know a lot of people can go to this, you know, they don't have most people don't have the time to have this thought process. They've got busy lives, they've got things to do, and so therefore this isn't for everyone, and that's understandable. There's a lot of people that just don't want to have to deal with it, because it's quite a lot of work, especially once you get into the negations and the mathematical thought of this logic. It gets confusing, and people have been taught in schools that maths is difficult, and you know, you don't really understand it. Like one of Buster's songs, like you don't understand, right? People have that understanding that they don't understand things. Well, maybe that's because some things are nonsense. There is no sense to be made of them. That's why you think things become difficult and challenging, because you can't make sense of them. But some things can't be made sense of. And if you try to reason and make sense out of nonsense, then that's where the mind can be taken in. And once you allow that process to take place, then you're delving into this really weird realm that's outside of reality. And we've been watching this go on. And it's been I don't know. Sometimes it's frustrating, but sometimes you get a lot of knowledge out of it. I mean, I wouldn't say to people, don't attempt to do this. But I'd say if you were going to come into it, then be aware that there are people who obfuscate, and the mission is for you to make sense of things. And I have my own particular methods of doing that. I've, over the last 4 years or whatever, I've had conversations, and I've gained from these conversations. I'm not so sure how many other people have listened to them and extracted what sort of information out of them they've done. A lot of people have ended up not really liking me for some reason. I don't know. A lot of people think I'm hard to talk to or whatever. Well, it couldn't be further from the truth. This is how we are. None of this is scripted. None of this is put on. But some of the stuff that we've learned, it's been great. So here's one of my things that I've been trying out recently. Now, when initially there was an argument made, it was modus tollens, right? It brought the logical understanding into an arena where there'd been no sort of formal argumentation ever. And I saw it as being a great leap forward to get people to understand how arguments are formed. But quite quickly, I think, these people that brought this argument in realised that logic has been extracted from education system because they don't want you understanding logic. If you can understand logic, then you can have your own internalized bullshit detector. It's called fallacies. There's multiple different ways of doing this, fallacy hunting or whatever. But logic is the main method, and that's what derives mathematics, geometry, logic, debate, all of this sort of stuff. It was purposely taken out of the education system. And they've also tried to extract it from mathematics, so people don't really understand the mathematical form and how you get proofs derived through geometry and logic, obviously, which is where we're at now. This modus tollens was brought into this arena by, I believe it was QE. He's the one that seems to want to take first credit for introducing, doing the presentation, all of this sort of stuff. Well, QE's the one that called it a black swan and introduced a picture. Now, the picture for QE was a black swan, but he didn't bother telling people that. He named the entire argument Black Swan, which led me to believe I don't think he did it on his own. Somebody must have handed it to him. So I did a video. We went live a few weeks ago, a few days ago, I don't know. Asking who was the originator of this modus tollens that QE calls the Black Swan. Thinking that somebody would have to come up and say, that's my argument. I, made that. I'm quite proud of that. But knowing that it's full of flaws and fallacies, I didn't think anybody would come step forward for it. Quite rightly so. Nobody did. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to say anything about it at all. Apart from Blue Marble Science, Big Blue. Proud boy. He's done a video going over the video that we did when we were questioning the geometric, hard to tell, the geometric reasoning behind it, the if-then. We're dealing with the then part, because nobody's ever bothered doing that. We've just broke the argument down into the flaws within it. Actually, I could go over I did a video with QE and Adam. I went back over that. That's eye-opening to listen to that and how these arguments formed, right? So there is nobody's claiming it from the flat Earth debate side. Obviously, it's a bit tricky. So QE last night went over his new argument to replace it, obviously. So we're going to go over that first. It may sound a little bit familiar. To give you a backstory, a short backstory. When QE brought up this argument, he was actually in, was it this server? I think it might have been this server, or maybe back in the ME UK server. I can't remember.
It might, I think it was originally back there, and then we moved, didn't we?
Yeah, I can't remember
We
whether
set
it
up
was
a new
this
place.
one or the old one, but it was that group of people were over here. We were chatting about stuff. We were going over 10th Man wanted little private conversations about, you know, how level worked and all of that sort of stuff, different arguments. He was working on his sextant thing in the background, very secretive stuff. Everybody said the problems with all sorts of different things. And if anybody's aware of the mind your P's and Q's statement that was made by Emma, right? Back in that thing. Can we not have any swearing, please? We are live on YouTube, in the Discord. Can we get that out off the Discord, please? Can we have some Discord moderation? Thank you very much. We went over this argument, and we said that mind your P's and Q's, because QE was saying, I'm launching this new thing, and I'm going to have this duck, and turn up helped him make his war duck, as he called it. You may be familiar with it. He was saying, I can get some t-shirts. Anybody got any ideas for t-shirts? And Emma said, yeah, why don't you do one that says mind your P's and Q's? Which was, a statement about the mind your P's and Q's within the Modus Toland's argument that he'd called the Black Swan. Very, it was genius, actually, at the time. And then QE got upset, had a little shouty session, because I said, I'm not so sure why you're bringing all of these numbers and formulas and all of that into the argument, because you're talking about the horizon, and the horizon's horizontal in it. So, I don't know what the rest of your argument's about, because it's pretty obvious that the horizon's horizontal and, level. And he went, oh, that level horizontal bullshit stuff. You just stick to that level horizontal and leave science alone. And then he left. He never came back again. That was goodbye QE from the Emmy UK on the level Discord server. Sleeping Warrior stuck around for a little bit until we caught him in 10th Man in a little bit of a troll play. Interesting. And so it's never really been discussed with the originators of this Modus Tollens, mainly because we said I don't understand why you're doing that. Surely you can make a much simpler argument, which we obviously did. We've got there's a video called Adam, We've Got a Problem, that goes over all of this sort of stuff. And like it's the frustration of you being able to communicate with people and discuss certain arguments. So that's the backstory of the Modus Tollens that QE calls the Black Swan, the picture. So quite a lot to go over, right? So QE did a thing last night. Was it last night? I think it was last night. Let me get these streams ready for you. And for you. Right, I've cut all of the racist stuff that Neil was doing out. Neil was pretty racist, and at about 20 minutes, and then the discussion about that went on for about another 40 minutes or whatever after that. So we're like an hour into the stream, and QE's going to do a presentation about this is QE's new argument. So you ready for this? You guys can see it on the
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Right. Volume up. Yeah. Here we go.
Be patient. Very quick.
Short present.
Yeah, it's very short. It's not going to be one of those long ones. I don't want to build it up. I just want to put it out there, and And there we go. So I think we should.
Have you done slides?
I don't got slides. I got it on, the usual routine.
He's here
What's
on
the
the
slide?
server live. You can
Yeah,
follow that down.
it's live. Yeah.
Come on.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
No.
It's time to slope a dope. This is what you do. You just slope the
It's called a sloper dope. This is what QE's calling this. Great.
these dopes. That's how you work this. So see if you can follow my train of logic here.
So, yeah, see if you can follow
Number
QE's
one.
logic.
According to the slope-intercept formula, y equal mx plus b. Now, everyone should, even though you may not be familiar with it right now, you've heard this phrase before if you're in America. Now, I don't know what they do in England, but you've heard this. If not in grade school, like 5th, 6th grade, you've heard this and done some work with this.
Okay, so if QE says if you're an American, Americans might be able to let us know. You'll have heard of this. It says, according to the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b. The slope of the horizontal line is always 0. Does everybody know that? Does it make any sense? Or is this might be one of those mathematical things that doesn't really make any sense to many people? Somebody says it's the formula for a straight line. That's the way I've heard it, right? Because I've been talking to people for 6 years on Twitter. And this has been one of the rebuttals that people have given me about, well, I don't know. It's not really a rebuttal. It's just used to try and confuse people. So we're talking about a straight line, a horizontal, right? And somebody says y equals mx plus b. I don't think it's meant to make any sense to normal people. Anyway, some mathematicians out there might be going, well, that's the formula and we've done that in maths. And how does that help you? It doesn't help you understand what it means. The y and the x will be part of the Cartesian coordinate system, which most people understand as being perpendicular lines, a grid system. But what's the formula got to do with it? I don't know. I think you just meant to be familiar with it from schools. That's what QE's building up to here. Anybody heard of that? You know, gone over it? Understood what it meant?
I don't think so.
No, it doesn't make
At
any
least I
sense,
cannot
does
remember.
it? Within an argument, like what? This is his number one. According to the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b. You've heard of it in school? I haven't. I don't think we ever went through that in school. Not as an intercept formula. It may be some sort of a way of deriving coordinates within a graph system. But as far as that goes, I think that's out of the realm of most 40, 50-year-olds. But hey, other people, Blue Marble Science, make a video about it. How stupid we might be for not understanding QE's next argument, right? Well, let's see where QE's going with this argument.
In junior high school. So everyone's familiar with this.
No.
Right?
Can I just say
You
that?
interrupted.
Everybody's not familiar with it, but we'll give QE a pass on that because, you know, he's just... I think this is the way people form arguments nowadays.
He assumes that everybody knows that.
Yeah, he has wrote it down in a slide.
Even
so
if it
you
is
can
not
read
true.
it. Yeah, you can read it at least. If you don't understand it, at least you can read it because QE's wrote it down.
Did already?
Yes, on purpose. Because no, I hadn't. I had to look up slope-intercept formula. So if
I
you're
said
talking
in
to
America.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. So just for the UK audience, it's y equals mx plus c. It's known as the equation of a line.
There you go. Y equals mx plus c. Yeah, it's all right. I said that to Mike earlier today, and Mike said, "No, B in it, isn't it B?" It's like, it doesn't make any difference what number or letter you put there. It still doesn't make it any different. Y equals mx plus c, mx plus b. What difference does it make? Crazy.
I've seen it a number of different ways. Y equal mx plus h, y equal mx plus k. But everyone gets the gist.
It's irrelevant.
Okay? So
Yeah, the point I was making was in the UK, it's called the equation of a line. That's what it's called in primary school, junior school, when you learn that equation.
Again, I can't remember learning that. I'm not too sure whether you'd learn that in junior school. Seems a little bit too advanced. I don't know what he's talking about. Junior school, primary. Maybe Adam's a little bit. I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
Equation of a line.
So there is no slope intercept in English.
It's not. That's not how it's referred to. You learn what the slope is in terms of what you're going to and likes, but in terms of what it's referenced in the UK, it's called equation of a line.
Okay, fair enough. But like I said, I was speaking to Americans when I said America. So everyone gets this according to the slope-intercept formula. I know I'm repeating myself. Why?
Everyone gets this, even though he was just talking to the Americans. And Adams just told him that he didn't get it.
Y equals mx plus b. But the slope of a horizontal line is always the baller's IQ. 0.
Yeah, I think everybody understands that. There's no slope to a horizontal. In reality. I think we've been saying that for quite a bit. Basis of surveying, all of these things, water level, no slope. Does sound familiar to those of us that have been in this particular argument. But I mean, this is QE. He's about 4 years behind at the minute. Welcome to the horizontals not having a slope.
Everyone's heard this before. Now, I'm going to go over this
I
here.
was going to just
I'm going
say
to
something real
provide
quick.
some
Sorry.
citation for this. I shouldn't have to, but just to make sure all my I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So from Varsity Tutors, horizontal lines have slope 0 since the rise is 0. From lwtech.edu, a horizontal line parallel to the x-axis has 0 slope.
Now, does everybody really need QE to be putting out these different things about horizontals, or should it be up to each individual to understand what horizontal is? Obviously, it's opposed to vertical, and since vertical is the rise, the change in elevation on the vertical, then there can be no change in the vertical on the horizontal because it's maximally opposed. It's perpendicular to it. We've been going over this sort of stuff quite a bit. It may seem like basic stuff, but it seems like QE's just getting up to date. He's made these new slides. It's quite impressive.
From biology at Arizona State, a horizontal line has 0 slope since it does not rise vertically. That is, y1 minus y2 equals 0. Baltard's IQ. From study.com, the slope of a horizontal line is always 0. Since 0 slope indicates that a line does not rise vertically. Everyone getting this now, right? You all heard this before.
Yeah, we have all heard it before. Is everybody all right with that?
Yes,
This
this is
is
clear.
this is years ago,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but he's just doing this now.
Yeah. When I
And they're not
questioned
up to date.
who made the modus tollens that QE called the Black Swan, QE's not defending that at all. What's QE doing? It's going to a horizontal. Well, I mean, that's what he's establishing, the horizontal first with zero slope, but I wonder where he's going to go with it, eh?
But we're going to do them all anyway, just for GP, general purpose. From QMath, the slope of a horizontal is 0. From ThoughtCo, formerly physicsabout.com, the slope of a horizontal line is always 0. Y'all getting it from their alma mater? If a line is horizontal, the slope is 0. And we'll finish it on up. I could go quite long here, probably a couple hundred times, but y'all get the picture. From Syracuse.edu, horizontal lines have slope of 0. They even help it out here by putting 0 in parentheses, so you get the gist.
Okay, so and we might be able to help QE out because obviously he's unaware of the obfuscation that gets caused from you saying that horizontal's a straight line. He's not going to prepare anybody for the horizontal at a point and the tangent and all of this sort of stuff, is he? He's not, well, we'll see. But do you reckon he will? Do you reckon he'll tell people that this formula won't help them explain that a straight line to people who think straight lines can bend? He's got all of that to come. But just remember, 4 years ago or whenever QE did this, brought this argument out. If it was QE, it might not have been QE, right? Somebody might have handed it to QE. It could possibly have been someone like Blue Marble Science. Say, here, QE, I'll help you out here. I've got an argument for you. Brilliant argument it is. You can keep this circular argument going for ages if you put out this, yeah. Might be the same reason he's doing this with the horizontal. Who knows?
Number 2, horizontal lines are derived from where? The horizon. From Math Open Reference, in geometry, a horizontal line is one which runs from left to right across the page. It comes from the word horizon. Uh-oh. That's going to be a big problem, especially for you boltards, because of this.
He missed the bit where it says the horizon is horizontal, which is on the bit that he's missed out. Wonder why he did that. Or that all horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon. He might get round to it.
You see, the Naval Academy, United States Naval Academy, they define curvature as the rate of change of slope. See this right here? Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. So it is the
Double
second
spaghetti.
derivative. Hold on, I'm almost done. So it is the second derivative of the elevation surface. United States Naval Academy.edu. So, my conclusion. How can the horizon, which has a slope of 0, have a rate of change of slope that's non-zero? That's curvature, por favor. You see, this whole thing right here is what we call in the industry this. It's a paradox, right? It violates the law of identity and the law of non-contradiction. This little thing right here. Does everyone see it now? Hopefully. So I'm taking back the horizon from the Baltards. Sorry. It's mine now. Have a nice day. That's it. Questions, comments?
Yeah, you.
There you go.
For me, this is just stupid. Brenda gained, quote unquote, gained ownership of his argument, and now he is saying that this not sloping horizontal line is his own. It is not. What's going on? Where did he buy that? In which store he bought horizontal?
Taking it off the Globers, right? He's saying, you know, this is now belongs to QE. Obviously, if it's a flat earth.
But Globers didn't have it. Especially Rumpus argued with me in YouTube chat that horizontal is not derived from horizon.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with horizon.
Yeah, that's one of the rebuttals QE's going to have, isn't it? Obviously,
yes,
nobody's going to go with anything QE says. Right? None of there'll be no Globers that want to rebut this from QE because, I mean, they've done the advanced simplicity with us, haven't they? We've got the argument that they've been ignoring. Same way as Nathan Oakley just ignored Modus Toland's.
Yes, but now they think that this is there, as they invented right now, yesterday. What we know for years, they invented yesterday.
Yeah, QE's like surprised himself upon this horizon being horizontal. Like, oh, like it's
Great
a shock
correlation.
or something. Like, whoa. I think, are they treating everybody else in this arena like a simpleton or something? Because when you think about everybody in this arena, right, the Globe guys, they say that the flat earthers are a bit stupid and they don't understand mathematics and stuff. Well, what's this going to look like? Like QE is meant to be one of the leading people in flat earth, and he's coming out with this, like the horizon's horizontal. Yeah, well, that happens in reality too. It's not exclusive to a flat earth. It's particularly in reality, which is what we've been saying all along. I think this is ridiculous from QE, right? But what do you reckon the people in his thing are going to say about it? Well, in fact, what's everybody else here think? What about you guys in the chat? What do you think of the new?
It is not new.
Well, for QE,
We've been
I mean,
talking
he's
about-
just made these new slides, hasn't he? And he's still like he's putting it out. He's taking ownership of the horizon.
He's stealing it from us.
He's not stealing it from anybody. Like I said at the beginning, QE he promoted an argument he called the Black Swan. I said to him then, isn't that a bit complicated adding in all those numbers, right? The horizon's horizontal. Like, where's the argument? How's anybody going to argue against the horizon being horizontal? It's a fact for everybody. 4 years. They've been pointing and measuring angles and doing all sorts of stuff. And the horizon's always been horizontal. We've got an argument about horizontals being parallel, which also has a secondary conclusion that the horizon's horizontal. It's already been wrote in within an argument. I call it the argument. Also, we've got a thing. I'll go over it. Let's have a listen to what the replies are.
You missed the final killer, didn't you? When you was giving us a little bit of a heads up. So I like the latter bit. The definition of curvature. Yeah.
Do you
Rate
like
of
that?
change of slope. Yes. That's the bit. That's why I was, that makes it make sense now. Yeah. Very useful now.
It's I
Rate of
didn't give
change.
you that bit when I just give
No,
the
you
spiel
didn't.
before, right?
You just left me with like taking away that m equals 0. Which was fine. And like I said, a little bit requires
He didn't.
a maths geek.
Here's the thing, right? I know not many people go with all of the mathematics stuff or anything, but I mean, he's not even mentioned Euclidean space, has he? QE. I mean, how far behind is he? I mean, what if Fight the Flat Earth came along and went, well, non-Euclidean geometry, QE? There's a rebuttal for you. Because that's the sort of rebuttal that you'll get from certain people. So this y equals mx plus c is obviously only within the Cartesian coordinate system, which only exists within Euclidean geometry. And obviously, horizontal being a straight line or plane, also only exists within Euclidean three-space reality. The geometry that everybody knows about within reality, which is sort of what we've been saying for quite a long time. But Flat Earth and Globe Earth, Flat Earth Society guys, as I call them from now on, have been playing this game. I think this is the latest one. So, you guys that are within the arena, the Flat Earth and the Globe Earth, you can have another 4 years or whatever of talking about horizontals being parallel with the plane of the horizon, if you can ever get round to the parallel thing. Because when you understand its Euclidean geometry, and then you understand that parallels is a part of Euclidean geometry that doesn't really equate to non-Euclidean, well, it's a mathematical thing. And if anybody does want to come in and see how simple this all is, right? If you're not into mathematics and all of that, it seems a bit confusing, come in and have a chat. We'll try and simplify it for you. I think is it NL? Or is that the,
No. That's the Discord. I want the website. Have you
I
got
don't
one for the
know.
actual website?
I don't know. We've got a website. We'll be going to it in a bit. I can put the link up.
I was going to say,
I've
put
got
it up when you go over it.
Yeah, I will. I'll post it over there in a bit. Go over this. Remember this paradox part. Yeah.
But you point out that curvature is the rate of change of slope. And that probably requires explanation as well. But that's the important bit. Not just the slope. If the Earth went down at 8 inches per mile, yeah, then it's just a slope.
Right.
A straight line that's not horizontal.
Right.
Which is one thing. Yeah. We're talking about a rate of change of slope.
Yes, this is the key part.
A drop from horizontal, like Jesse Kozlowski said, at 8 inches per mile squared. Yeah, we've been dealing with this for quite a while.
But he's talking about straight line because this is discovery.
8 inches, he said. If 8 inches, yeah, you go with Sean Hawkins' slope Earth.
Yes, but what Adam Meakin is talking about, he's talking about slope being straight line. That we need to discern between slope being straight line and changing rate of the slope, meaning curve, which is obvious here on on our Discord, let's say,
Yeah.
on the level. We know that for years. And now this is a great discovery for Adam Miken.
Yeah, a rate
and
of
QE.
change of slope. It's because really we've questioned this squared formula, right? And pointed out that it's impossible within a geometric form. Like if you want to relate this squared formula that these guys have been dealing with, it's literally impossible. It doesn't really need much more to be said about it. The horizontal is a straight line, and the 8 inches per mile squared is impossible to translate into reality. Can't be done. That's why I've always thought that this Flat Earth Society arena of people they've been playing normal people for fools. And it seems like the ones that have been promoted are the ones that have decided to join the game. I don't think they're actually aware of them joining the game. It's just this publicity, sort of stuff. You end up, I don't know. You know the type of people that are in this arena. Shouty, aggressive. They're in for the cause. They're wanting to put the Superman cape on, the Flat Earth hero cape. Or the Globe Earth hero. It doesn't really matter. But I think now, more and more, these guys are playing the same game together. They always have been. But it's making this is making it a lot more obvious for you to see.
Rate of change of. That's the key part. Yes, sir. So the moral of the story, flat earthers, that if one of these baltards in there.
Hang on, can you pause it for just 1 second for me,
vernacular
please?
states.
Go on.
Why is he talking to flat earthers like he's not one of them? That's my question.
He always has done that. He's always talked to flat earthers. He's always berated flat earthers also for not saying the right things.
Yeah, that just seems strange to me. Because I got no problem calling myself a flat earther, even if it's just for the subject matter, because it's full of contradictions. But I don't go around calling fellow flat earthers, "Hey, you flat earthers." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm probably just distracting from the actual point, but that irks me every time he does that.
Well, to me too, right? Because I just live in reality, and I know for a fact that the horizon's horizontal, right? I'm not a flat earther, but QE isn't talking to me for this, right? But he's going to associate this with a flat earth thing, but it's not. It's just something that occurs in reality. So,
Yeah, most of those horizons are over water, not earth.
Yeah, you'd have to, the true horizon being horizontal is over water. Not, well, unless you want to call that Earth, and then you'd be committing I'd say a fallacy by calling water Earth.
Which, yeah, law of identity.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's a problem with logic, isn't it? It's a logical problem which is easily sorted once you are allowed to be able to use this reasoning process. Sometimes you might need people to give you a push in the right direction or to open your eyes to be able to see certain things. This, to me, has been absolutely obvious, getting more and more obvious, that they've never been able to discuss any of these issues. And this is ridiculous. A horizontal, not sloping, is genius.
2024 discovery.
Yeah. And because he just heard recently that the horizontal slopes in both directions from Fight the Flat Earth. But, that would be pointing out the flaws in Fight the Flat Earth's argument, not QE trying to point out a slope argument. It's almost as though it's a distraction to me. Flat earthers are jumping up and saying, shouting, look at me. Whereas really what you should be doing is seeing that the globe can't deal with horizontal. But I don't think QE gets much fame out of that.
Directly or indirectly, anything towards the horizon, that's a paradox. They can't use horizon for anything whatsoever. A horizon cannot exist on a globe because globe has curvature and a rate of change of slope, whereas horizontals have no slope by definition. You see it? Hopefully. That's it. There you go.
Yes, we can see that
That's
for
it.
2 years or 3 years, yeah, or 4 years.
Yeah. Ever
Thanks,
since QE
QE.
brought out a really shit modus tollens, we pointed out to him that the horizon was horizontal. Like, I don't know what you're doing, QE. Why are you making this argument? Why are you feeding people a load of numbers that just don't make sense? I've never dealt with a curve calculator. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's nonsense. So why should I deal with that? Why should I place that within an argument? And then not explain to everybody what the numbers were within the argument. I think his mate's going to help out in a bit, though.
In fact, numbers in that kind of argument does not matter. Completely, they are irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers cannot prove anything in logical statement.
All right, here we go.
Do great things. I christen
Nail
you.
in the coffin.
I christen you ball-tard killers with just this. You don't need anything else. Just this.
You don't need anything else, says QE. All you need to do is the knowledge that the horizon is horizontal.
They all owe you a huge apology on that server.
You reckon?
With that, I reckon.
I don't think there's nothing. There's nothing to
They're
apologize
not going
for.
to. I know they're not going to. Yeah, flagging you off when all they need is your argument.
Well, they're never going to have the argument, are they? You know, they can't have the argument. They're going to try and like what we've done is we've simplified an argument down to the basics, and I don't think you can make any of the arguments that we've made any simpler. And if you want to destroy the globe, then the arguments will do it. But the strange thing is that these arguments, they also kill the flat earth, because the earth's not flat. Like, how do you think you measure elevation changes? Because you measure a vertical rise from the horizontal plane. It's not flat because of those elevation changes. But QE and Nathan Oakley and everybody else wants you to believe that those elevation changes are also flat. It's mad. Absolutely crazy. And I don't know how anybody in this arena is meant to deal with any of this. Because this sort of stuff's provable. Like, anybody that doesn't want to go along with the horizontal being parallel to the plane of the horizon, well, you've seen what happens. They just don't want to talk to you. Maybe QE's giving them the same argument, but in a more palatable way. They can now argue against the y equals mx plus b, or maybe call it a c. Maybe say you've got the formula wrong. It's y equals mx plus c. you know, like that's the sort of stuff I think it's going to be coming around in the rooms. If anybody ever, but they won't, because QE's out of touch with all of these rooms where people get to chat. They've always got their group of people around them. They're developing arguments against ballers that don't exist. Well, maybe they do exist. Maybe the Flat Earth Society has people on both sides. And you could populate both sides, and these people are the ones that you will see conversing with each other within arguments. Maybe it's Jaren, maybe it's McToon. Maybe they're all big happy families together when they're getting their super chats in, selling t-shirts or whatever. They might be in it together, and you might then know and understand that this is the Flat Earth Society working together for a common goal of keeping people within a ridiculous argument that these guys control. These are the guys that make up these things. We try and say, if you get a grip on logic, then you can make these arguments for yourself. You can understand the proofs you gain from owning these arguments for yourself.
Very
A
simple.
little bit long.
Because just goad them into saying Horizon. It's easy. Usually you don't even have to goad them into it. They just come out. The ships go beneath the horizon. Horizon? You can't use Horizon. As a Baltard, you can't use that.
Yeah, so that's what QE, the advice QE's giving to people is to goad them into saying Horizon and then tell them that they can't do that. I mean, it's a bit depressing, really, isn't it? If you're like, if this is what you're meant to be taught, if you're coming into this arena, how well do you think that'd do in any of these chat rooms? To new people within this arena. I mean, I know not many people would tune into QE. If you're new to this arena and decided you wanted to take on an argument. I'm not too sure. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's never been in any chat rooms or anything, conversing with people about anything, but goading people into the Horizon chat. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like Stalin using chicken wing futures. He can't do that. He's a communist. Yeah. What do we got in chat? Anything in chat, Betty? Oh, sorry, I didn't flip this.
Deathly silence. I mean, what's going on?
Yes, because it is stolen from here. Yeah, I
Shit.
agree.
One of the worst. And this is, I think, because he can't own up to the modus tollens. He can't defend it anymore. It's gone. Nathan Oakley handed it to Brenda. It was that shit.
So
I think that now they decided, because their argument is shitty, to use argument from this Discord level, on the level. So yours, they are using your argument because it is good. But they don't say it is yours argument because, I don't know why. But still, they are using that as theirs. And QE is saying that this is his argument now, for some reason.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's my argument. I'd say that, within this server, those of us that have joined the logic,
yes, I agree.
understanding,
Yes,
it's all been placed together within what we do here. Like,
okay, so
these
I will
are
rephrase.
our arguments, right?
Yes, it is.
It's not that I feel attached to the argument. It's because I know that the gains I've had are within understanding logic, and I just feel that QE's just shitting all over it. He's throwing away a shit argument rather than explaining how shit it is to show everybody else that his next argument's even fucking worse.
Yeah, but just for me, it would be honest to say that okay, QE is going with argument which was forged here. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fair.
Well,
Yeah.
Anything in chat?
See this. So, any remarks, questions, comments, concerns?
By a water level, somebody said.
Lakota
By a
wind.
water level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Go
go
on, Flash.
ahead. Use your words.
I got a question.
No, wait a second. Go ahead, Flatsy.
I've called many a globe earthers slope earthers.
Hang on,
what
can
I
we
call
go
it
back a
when you
second?
when you use this argument?
Go on.
Did you hear the it sounded like confusion. I don't know what the word would be.
Nobody knows what to
Like,
say because it's
water
pretty
level? What do you mean water
Yeah.
level? What do you mean? Like, that was the tone of his voice. What do you mean water level?
Yeah, he knows that that's what we were talking about. You know, we were building upon a proof. Like, we were already 3 or 4 steps in front of QE within this when he made the modus tollens. I say he made it. I don't think he did. Whenever he came out with the picture he called the Black Swan, somebody handed him that argument, I'm pretty sure. We were saying about that, you know, we were developing the water level. We'd already gone through the Slice Barcane stuff on Twitter and done all of that sort of stuff way before this. So we were just pointing out to QE that, you know, the horizon's horizontal and water level is a tool for establishing that horizontal. And there's a link between the two because obviously the true horizon is horizontal because it's over water. There is a link.
Argument. It's you're sloping a dope.
So this is the slope-a-dope. I got a question. Has this been brought up before, or why is it taking till October 10th, 2023, for this to be brought up? Unless this is something you brought up before that kind of got lost in the sauce, and you're bringing it back up.
I think
you
it's,
reiterating this?
No. No one has, kind of formalized it the way I did. But everyone knows this intuitively, right?
Everyone knows it intuitively. And thank you. Lakota Win says, did you get this off in the chat?
Yes, he got that from here, but he cannot admit that because, politics.
Yeah, it's different. It's a slope. There's no slope. Huey's done it differently. It's funny.
Yes.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I was asking. Why is it now being formally mentioned?
Why now?
Go out there and take
Good
this with you
question.
guys and knock them dead.
Yep, it's just another arrow in your quiver. It's a deadly arrow too, boy. And it's quick. See, I like the simple, quick ones. Because the ballers have projectile diarrhea of the mouth. And if they say horizon, and then all you have to do is say, what's the slope of a horizon? And then ask them what curvature is. Baltards don't know what curvature is. None of them. I've been asking this for years. You've heard me ask. And they don't know the definition of curvature. None of them do. None of them actually ever stated the definition, the correct definition for it. So once they do that, once you state all you really need, like I said, is because everyone knows that the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Everyone knows that. So all you actually need.
No. I don't believe you can say that the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Because 0 is no slope. You would just say there is no slope. You can't give a slope a 0 value.
Yes, because this is like
it's like a 0 angle,
or parallel to the same line.
Yeah,
because your reference is horizontal line. So how can you say that in reference to itself it has 0 slope? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So this is why it tells me this is flat Earth society at play. Because you're still talking of a not that, aren't you? Sorry.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You just took it. Yep. They're talking about the not that.
And if they can get you talking about something that is a 0, it doesn't exist. It's a nothing. It's a no thing. You're talking of a no thing. And not that. It's not there.
Or maybe they are talking about horizontal or level, maybe even level with 0 curvature. Because this is the same language.
It is.
They are using.
Exactly. Conforming to the curvature of 0. Maybe.
Yes, so not non-existing curvature, but still curvature.
This is what I would call semantic sophistry. At first, you don't see it until somebody points it out to you. But because it's been wrote within the mathematical realm, and it's hardly surprising that it's already been wrote in mathematics, because they're the ones that need to do this mind work. You need mathematicians to be able to do this sort of stuff with their mind. Think yourself lucky if you can't do it. A lot of people have fallen into the trap of allowing their mind to accept these, call them linguistic contradictions. But it's been wrote into mathematical form, definitions. QE read out a load of them. Slope of 0. That's a no slope.
Is this from the United States Naval Academy. Now, if you need this, just type in this part. Curvature is the rate of change of slope. And then put United States Naval Academy, and it'll pull that link right up. So then you have that citation. That's all you need. It's all over then. Follow? Good.
That's all you need.
Roger.
Just Google something.
Mathematical check.
You'll
so
be one of the leaders of the...
if I've got a slope of 0 here and a slope of 0 there, the rate of change between the slope is 0.
Yeah.
Therefore, no rate of change of slope.
Correct.
In fact, no slope.
No slope. Correct.
No slope at all to have no rate of change of slope, which means there can't be any curvature expressed if there's no rate of change of slope.
Correct.
Bugger in it.
Yeah, I wonder whether QE's ever met these people that say that the only measurement you can't have is the one that you think you measure. Tolerances and all of that sort of stuff.
For me, this is Stroman, because it is all. There are always tolerances.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody expects that you will. In fact, you even theoretically you cannot have ideal measurement. it is not supposed to be ideal anyway in real life. So what's the problem?
Well, the problem is
cannot
if you
have-
start assigning a 0 to it, because you're actually using the horizontal to start off with, but then
Yeah.
you're assigning a 0 measurement to that. Well, then the people that say you can't measure that because of the tolerances would mean that there is something other than 0.
Yeah.
So you may as well just do away with it and say there's just no slope. You're talking of the horizontal and only the horizontal. Not of
Yes,
any
so
formulas or any sort of equations.
I would say that this is the same thing that they are doing with flat plane.
Mm-hmm.
They are saying horizontal is a line or plane having no slope. This is the same as flat plane.
Or a
So-
round circle.
Yes,
Yeah.
round circle. The same thing. This is soletism. Why they are talking about that? And as it is reference frame or line, so it doesn't matter, because even if you have as your reference curvature, you will measure slope from that curvature. So it doesn't prove anything. So saying that horizontal line or horizon, as they say, has no slope, it is completely meaningless statement, because it is your reference frame. So it doesn't matter if it curves or it is curving or not. It doesn't matter, because even if it is curving, it would be still your reference frame. So for example, let's assume that level is curving, and this is your reference frame. So you will be measuring slope from that curved level. It doesn't change anything. So QE argument would also work for curving level. So for me, if he is using this that 0 slope.
Yeah, that's why I said about Euclidean geometry, because like the flat Earth, if that's what these guys are going to deal with, they're going to have to deal with people like Fight the Flat Earth saying, well, in non-Euclidean geometry, straight lines can curve.
Yeah, and then from that curve, you can say that there is 0 slope.
Yeah.
From curve. Yeah, so this argument, which QE is forging, will work for globals perfectly.
Yeah, this is a flat Earth society play, as far as I'm concerned, right? To get away from another argument that's been made. We've got another one as well. I've found Logos has helped me stumble upon a beauty of an argument, which I think we might go over tomorrow as a quick short one, but it's completely logical. It's a logic argument, a special logic day for a found argument that exposes, I think, a lot of stuff. And this one is a challenge for flat earthers, which obviously goes to anybody, but these guys are going for the flat earthers. So look out for that one tomorrow. Amazing.
I accept your challenge.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a lot easier than you think, but you know, once
I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm just trying to find another video. Because Blue Marble has done a video, and you know, I said it's only 12 minutes, this one. You know, I said that, has everybody got enough for that QE one, right? I think we've got the gist that QE's trying to formulate an argument, but I don't know whether he formulated it as an argument. He just tell people, bait people into saying horizon, and then tell them you can't use it because QE's done something with a slope. QE's took it. They're not allowed to use it anymore for some reason. It's just about reality, right? This is where the flat Earth and the globe Earth seems ridiculous to me, and it always has done within this arena. This is directed at all of us, this next one, I think. So, Blue Marble. When we did a thing the other day, Blue Marble has made that's Blue Marble Science, the YouTuber. Expecting to find out who would own up to this modus tollens. This is Blue Marble steps forward. Not QE, not Nathan Oakley, not Arwin, not Sleeping Warrior, not 10th Man. Blue Marble Science. Imagine that. I did already. I think these guys have been working together for quite a long time. QE, Nathan Oakley, Rumpus, Blue Marble Science. They all need each other to keep going. Unfortunately for those guys, that those of us that have been, I call us the misfits. I call normal people that have entered this arena, found out that something's not right. But where do you go? Because you can't question QE, you can't question Nathan Oakley about any of this stuff, you can't ask Arwin questions, you can't, there's just no way to communicate with people. So where do you go? What do you do? Well, come here on the level. That's where those of us that can actually talk about arguments go. And we were talking about the formulation of this modus tollens that's pretty bad. And I've never watched any of this. So this is Blue Marble Science, the YouTube channel, defending the argument that QE calls the Black Swan. Has anybody watched any of this, or am I bringing all of this to you lot for the first time? Because I honestly, I've never seen any of this. Not got a clue of what it is.
I haven't watched that yet. I tried yesterday, but it wasn't ready, I think.
Yeah,
on
19
Marble
hours
Science.
ago it says it. So he must have done it last night, late on last night.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, so here we go then.
On rare occasions, we get to witness moments of sheer genius. This is not one of those moments. Warning, severe facial and monitor damage alert is in effect. Get out those oven.
He says he doesn't script any of this. Do you believe him? Says he does it all off the top of his head. 12 minutes.
Bullshit.
I don't believe him.
Yeah. He was doing a load of backwards and forwards messaging with me, but he's deleted them all. They've all gone. So unless you look in the Blue Marble BS channel, you'll not be able to see them. They've disappeared forever.
Push the monitors back out of punching range. And let's light this dumpster fire and have some fun.
Well, forget about that, right? But Robotham, Flat Earth Society guy, gave everybody the first square function, right? QE's come along and give the new generation the inverse square, the square root.
Now, if you think he's talking about the square and square root functions,
maybe a little slip up there, right? But we were talking about Rayleigh criterion, the inverse square. We go. Maybe a mathematics lesson from QE.
being inverse operations of each other, he's not. He's talking about the inverse square law. And he thinks the inverse square law means the square root. This is unbelievable.
Do I? Is Blue Marble saying what I think?
You guys are going to enjoy this one.
So we're going to go over this now, but in on the level type way of thinking, just a think tank, right? Oh, open think tank.
Open think tank, huh? Meh.
About something that's been around for years, this argument. Now, you notice it is that we're going over this argument asking who was the originator of this argument. Nathan Oakley's handed it over to Brenda. He thinks it's a pile of shit now. Nathan Oakley can't defend it against Brenda. Jaren couldn't defend it against Brenda. And rather than Nathan Oakley doing anything, he just handed it away, just passed it off. QE has never addressed defending this argument. And look who we have here. Blue Marble Science. It's almost as if they're working together. It states, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, P, then, and this is the then, like the consequent of that, right? With a little bit of math. So it says, then, the horizon distance measurements must be, underlined, no more than to 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Q. What's everybody else understand about it? I mean, this argument has been around for a while. QE and Nathan Oakley have obviously talked about it quite a lot. Flat earthers are meant to be number one flat earth proof for a couple of years at least. Why is it that nobody really understands what 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet actually means?
And I think you're right, Bev. I think.
Oh, look at that! That was a cut. It's a cut. You see that? So I asked a question, and nobody answered because nobody really understands what it means. That was the point I was trying to make. Who is the originator of the argument, and why did they put the numbers in, and why did they then not go to explain why those particular numbers were there? Well, nobody's ever used this argument in any of these arenas, so nobody's ever had to understand what those numbers meant. That was the point I was making. So thanks for picking up on that one. Blue Marble Science, and a nice little cut. I'll go back over there just so you can see. There's definitely a cut here. 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet actually means.
And I think you're right, Bev. I think the trick is making sure that people can't understand it by translating it to an actual calculation. And then I think it exacerbates the problem by letting them off the hook by saying it's algebraic. You can't really understand it because it's algebra math, when the claim is actually geometrical, which is far easier to understand the implications of geometry because it's pure logic.
The only one thing that I found out recently is a lot of people saying, I don't understand maths. And the reason they don't understand maths is because people like you, Paper, have said, well, it's just algebra. But that doesn't help anybody understand what 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet has got to do with anything.
Well, since you guys couldn't be bothered to type 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in the Google search bar, I did it for you. Google comes up with 336,000 results in about a half a second. So it's not like this is exactly hard to find.
Oh, this should be even better than I thought. Okay, so Blue Marble's Googled it. Anyone else Googled it within the argument? Anybody been stuck and wondered, I wonder what that 1.225, right, okay, you Googled it. What does it actually mean? How do you understand it mathematically? The square root function. How do you add a square root function to a height? Well, hopefully Blue Marble's going to let us know.
But let's go through it.
God.
Now, you said Quantum Eraser gave this to us, Bev. Quantum Eraser didn't give this to us. Pythagoras gave this to us.
Oh, gave it to us. He's like he's part of this argument, right? He's defending it. I think Blue Marble and QE are part of the same team. I think they might have helped each other within this argument. It allows this conversation to be able to go back. Yeah. Yes, Eric.
That formula is easily derived using the Pythagorean theorem, and it works like this. Line C to D is obviously a tangent line to the surface of the Earth. The observer is up there at point C. The tangent intersects the Earth at point D, and radius line A to D also intersects at point D. So by definition, that radius line and that tangent line have to form a right angle.
Wow. Anybody sound like he's internalized his measurements here? Like, what's CD? Is that a horizontal? Is it? If CD's a horizontal, then is that not a hump? Just a few things for you to think of.
We now have
like
a
a
right
drop, right?
triangle, Bev. The length of one leg is D, the length of the other leg is R, and the length of the hypotenuse is R plus H, H being the height of the observer above the surface.
Wow, this gets even better. It's looking like an Alberuni. I don't know if Blue really understands. See, I was asking people if they understood what was going on within this formula. Well, it's like Blue Marble Science. He's going to show us some Euclidean geometry. Everybody, please take note of Blue Marble Science's geometry here. Fight the Flat Earth called this the perfect math. It's like he's following the same script. It's almost amazing. They're just 4 years behind. Thought I'd have a bit of fun the other day when I did this. Looks like it looks worked a trait.
The Pythagorean theorem tells us that D squared plus R squared equals R plus H squared. Now, if you just do that little bit of math I've done on the left side there.
If you just do that little bit of math, right? Now, this is part of the stuff that I was talking about. Like, to a lot of people, that doesn't make any sense at all. There's no doing math involved in this to a lot of people. That's what I'm trying to get through here is most of the people that come into this arena are being handed a load of numbers and a load of equations and shitty arguments by people. And then people like Blue Marble Science come along and rebut it with Euclidean geometry that a lot of people don't understand. We do. This is the sort of stuff we do. But we're not about doing this sort of stuff. And we want to try and make it accessible to everyone. We want to try and simplify it. We want to try and get the essence of what we're talking about and the arguments. Anyone can do maths, right? It's not difficult. Don't know why Blue's trying to do this. Like as if people don't understand it. It's dead easy to understand it. Yeah. Yes, Gadget, right? Gadget doesn't understand it. It doesn't make Gadget stupid, right? It doesn't make him less cleverer than anybody else. he's not put his mind to this sort of thing. Whereas it's very logical. The process of doing it is a simple logical process. Tying numbers to it is the difficult part that people get confused with. I don't know, Bobby. Like, people can do math, right? But most people can do the logic. People can see a logical process much easier than they can see the math, because the math's been tied to numbers and numbers can confuse people. But the logical process can be seen by everyone. And that's what we're after. We're after breaking things down to more simple stuff. Oh, actually, you guys are still watching it, aren't you? See this. Oh. It is on a little website called onthelevel.live. There is a page. If you Google it, try Googling the horizontal paradox. This website will come up. It's called onthelevel.live. Wrote by a few people in the server. And this is a little bit that's been wrote about a horizontal paradox. It says, and this is why I think QE's a few years behind, because this has already been done. It's been on the website for quite a bit, right? Anybody can have a look and Google and have a look for yourself. Horizontal paradox is a mental exercise to hold two contradictory statements at the same time. It's one of the many contradictions that must be held in modern day discussions on any social media platform today. Take control of your own knowing. Let advanced simplicity take hold. Because this is the first lesson in advanced simplicity. And I wrote this because this is the text form of it, obviously, but you need to be aware of this, right? Because this is proper playing with your mind at this point. Even you may not be aware of it, but this is where we're at, and this is what we've been doing here. We're trying to keep a grip on modern day minds and stop them from going into crazy town. So it says here, a word of warning in the form of text. A word of warning in the form of text. Said twice to show you the importance of the words. Some of the words on these pages, like all of the words your eyes have ever processed, these words can affect your mind in ways that you may not seem obvious at the time of reading. There's a chance they might etch themselves as all of the other shadows that have been cast on the walls of your mind. These words come with a warning that contradictory shadows may be revealed. If you don't handle conflict well, or if your inner Jabberwocky appears, please don't think of it as a problem with the words. Read on with caution. So what we do here, because it may seem like an innocuous argument to deal with the horizontals being a straight line and no slope. But if you ever attempt to use that in conversation, you will unearth all sorts of reactions. A lot of people can't handle this sort of stuff in daily life. So, you know, you know what you're going to face. Most of the people that are listening or whatever, you know, you've already been around it, you know. You've probably been watching, you've been learning, you've been altering the arguments, doing all sorts of stuff. But you have to have that warning in it. And go to the next bit. This is all part of the same horizontal paradox thing. The way we deal with teaching people arguments is you need to be able to develop them for yourself. So, like I say, the words are there. The words have been there for all the time. It's up to people to place the words in an order that makes sense to them so they can understand it. Actually, that's just the script. So this is a little song we wrote. So when yesterday, I think QE had a little bit of a say, and he said, go and see what Bev thinks of that or whatever. Well, we've literally bought the t-shirt. We made the t-shirt. We made the meme. We've got the t-shirt printed. We made the t-shirt. We wrote the song, and we've scripted this, and we've made the argument also. This is the horizontal paradox. In reality, this is Bedford
I have
level.
the t-shirt.
Yeah. This is Bedford level. This is, listen to the words, and then tell me if this is as good as QE's argument, or if QE's slope thing sounds better than this.
So let me give you a hypothetical. I want you to imagine a 6-mile long stretch of water. This water is straight and level and does not flow.
Advanced simplicity takes hold. You'll find the truth from things of old.
So let me give you a hypothetical. I want you to imagine a 6-mile long straight stretch of water. At each end of this straight stretch of water is a bridge. Point A, so you've got 2 bridges. Point B. This water is straight and level and does not flow. At each end of this water is a bridge. Point A, point B. At each bridge there is a plumb bob hanging down to the water.
We are on the road,
even altitude,
suspending judgment until the truth is known. You will find peace within.
Let me give you a hypothetical.
In the midst of all these troubled souls.
Now, on these vertical strings, can you imagine an even altitude? A point at an equal height above the surface of the water below.
Advanced simplicity takes hold.
An even altitude.
You'll find the truth from things of old.
And on these vertical strings, can you imagine 2 points? So let me give you a hypothetical. Can you imagine point A and even altitude? At these points and point B, and on these vertical strings, we can establish a perpendicular and even altitude, and call one point A and the other point B. 2 points. Point A, point B, even altitude.
We are on the road,
2 points.
suspending judgment until the truth is known.
Point A,
You will find peace within.
point B.
In the midst of all these troubled souls.
The point at an equal height above the surface of the water below. Point A, point B. Point A, even altitude. Point B.
There's no end game in mind.
Is the shortest distance between those 2 points?
It's only the truth that we seek to find.
We know the shortest distance
There's no end game in mind.
between 2 points is a straight
It's
line.
only the truth that we seek to find.
Now, here's the question I'm asking myself. How can the distance between these 2 points be anything other than horizontal?
Everyone must see it for
Horizontal.
themselves. The truth
2
is
points.
there for you to find.
And then ask yourself, and the water. Fuck that up.
Okay. A brilliantly formed argument within a song. Beautiful song too. Wrote on the level, it was here. These songs wrote inspiration from that. So thank you very much to world famous Buster. Advanced Simplicity. We've done a couple of mixes of that. And that was part of the horizontal paradox. I called that one the enthymeme mix, as you can see. Because that's the enthymeme. Horizontal. And then here's the bit. I think that, you know, QE did a pretty shit job of it. It's called the blue marble induced horizontal paradox. Because in reality, there just isn't a paradox. There are no paradoxes in reality. Make yourself aware of that. So this horizontal paradox is only induced by a model. And this one's induced by the blue marble. There are other models that get in the way of different things. But this is obviously a blue marble induced horizontal paradox. It says, obviously, horizontal planes exist in reality. So why do some people get upset at hearing that level is a straight line on a horizontal plane? Finding these people is what led us to realise that simplifying everything down to its most basic form and building up from there is what it was really needed to fully understand. Taking the first principles approach to even the most simple task is what we call advanced simplicity. And it's how we assure ourselves that we fully understand what it is that we are speaking of. The horizontal paradox is an ideal introduction into advanced simplicity, and it goes like this. A plane is a geometric concept that is 2D. That means it has only 2 dimensions, length and breadth. It has no edges and therefore is infinite. That's a plane. A plane is well defined and understood as the base of understanding geometry within the foundations of our learning process. But have we ever really considered such simple things as the basis of our own thought processes? There are proofs within geometry that can give you an understanding of these basics, but what's important is that you know that they are there for you to find. The picture to the right is a page from a book called The Elements. It's a series of proofs and theorems that guide to find truth. This one, proposition, along with all of the others preceding it, let us know that all perpendiculars to a plane will be parallel. Knowing this may cause cognitive pain at some point if a contradiction is pointed out. Here's the contradiction. For some people, placing this plane in a horizontal position becomes a problem for the reason stated above. Verticals being parallel is a big problem for dogmatic globe believers. So if you have a proof within mathematics that says all perpendiculars to a plane will be parallel, and then if you have a horizontal plane, then obviously you can work out that all of the perpendiculars to that horizontal plane will be vertical. A horizontal paradox is only a paradox when a model is introduced. And once introduced, how do you resolve the contradiction? How would you resolve the contradiction? How do you resolve the contradiction? Welcome to Advanced Simplicity. And now QE's opened everybody up to this. And I'm not so sure whether most people are aware of, you know, the problems that may be caused mentally. Are you back again, paper? I don't want to. Are you all right there,
Yes,
paper?
yes.
Sorry.
Yes, if I made some noise, I am sorry.
Yeah, no, I
was
didn't
not
want
aware of
you.
that.
You were there was some talking in the background. I don't want that to go out. You know, I don't know what was. So
Okay, I thought that I muted myself on the phone, but I didn't, so
it
I'm sorry.
happens. Don't worry. Yeah. So what I've been saying all along is that it's so simple. All of this stuff, the mathematics, the understanding of a straight line, the geometric reasoning that goes behind it, so simple. You don't need to be a mathematical genius to do this. This is a logical thing that most everybody can understand. But it doesn't help you out an awful lot because it's already there. You already know it. Most of this stuff is already known by people. It's just that you don't have proofs. You've never linked a proof to it. And if you link a model that then causes a contradiction, how do you deal with it? What do you do? Do you just ignore the conflict? Do you just sort of forget about it? Do you fight against it? I don't know. What do you do? Okay, that's a little bit of the stuff on the website. There's a lot more stuff like that on the level.live. I will be updating it much more.
For me, a paradoxal thing within this paradox, horizontal paradox, is that globbers still want to keep horizontal line or plane existent in their model. And this is what creates paradox, because if you have plane and if you have perpendiculars to that plane, it means that all perpendiculars will be vertical, and they cannot have that. So they are reducing this plane to a point, and they make stupid things with that plane. But in fact, they cannot have that plane, but they want to have it at the same time. So I would say that it is unresolvable situation for them.
Yeah, I don't know how. Obviously, blue marbles go into. You know, they people will justify whatever they want, whenever they want, but it is really simple, and nothing in reality is ever going to change. Reality is the same. Part of the message that we want to get across is that flat Earth and globe Earth can have their models because we all live in reality. If we just discuss reality, then there's no need for the false dichotomy, right? Both people talking about their models. Well, let's talk about reality and just deal with what is in reality. Back to blue marble, explaining Pythagorean theorems and stuff, how they relate to circles.
You get D equal to 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height, and that is if you're using imperial units. If you want to use metric units, it's 3.577 times the square root of the observer's height. There's nothing mysterious about it, but the problem with that modus tollens that Quantum Eraser came up with is simply that this formula does not consider refraction. This is what would happen if the Earth...
Oh, did he say the only problem? Let me go back in. Listen to that.
Modus tollens that Quantum Eraser came up with is simply that...
Oh, mate, you missed it. Go back a couple of bars.
And that is if you're using imperial units. If you want to use metric units, it's 3.577 times the square root of the observer's height. There's nothing mysterious about it, but the problem with that modus tollens that Quantum Eraser came up with is simply that this formula does not consider refraction. This is what would happen if the Earth had no atmosphere. The Earth, of course, does have an atmosphere, and the atmosphere causes refraction, and that effectively increases the radius of the Earth. So you can't take this pure geometric calculation.
Refraction effectively increases the radius? No.
Yeah. This is what Globers claim. Yeah, they are making this horizon straight or nearly straight. So it is not a globe visually anymore, and they are trying to defend a globe with refraction, which kills the globe.
Which increases the radius.
Yeah, yes.
But that just makes the ball bigger.
Yeah. So big that it is you cannot distinguish between globe and not globe.
Contradictory statement.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Blue Marble can't see any contradictions, you know. He has a complete inability to spot contradictions. It's a common trait with a dogmatic.
He cannot see that this refraction, which is bullshit, of course, but they use that. It kills their argument.
Yeah, it's not geometric. If you can't look at something and make it get bigger, that sounds ridiculous.
For them, it is okay. It explains everything.
It's actually 8 inches. But I've looked at it, and it's about 12.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
I have heard. There's another guy who, within another argument that I've heard, that's made a pretty similar sort of claim within an argument as well. Logical. You'll love it tomorrow. It'll be fucking great. But yeah, it's similar sort of line. Well done, Blue. Defending. So, QE made an argument using this geometry of tilting horizontals, is it? Sloping horizontals, because obviously the CD is meant to be horizontal, isn't it? That's what I've heard anyway. So sloping. So QE came up with an argument with sloping horizontals that helps out one model, and now Blue Marble's come to his defence by saying that it's all right. It just doesn't consider refraction, and refraction makes radiuses bigger.
Yeah. So he's trying the Blue Marble science because remember this modus tollens, whatever it is, it has this radius. So and of course, as we can say that at best this modus tollens is defying radius.
Yeah,
But
that's
now,
one of the things I said about him having the numbers involved within it allows them to play number games pretty much like this. And with QE bringing the picture in and calling the picture the Black Swan allows Blue Marble to do this.
Yes, but the funny thing here is that if this radius is 953 or whatever number it is, yes, 3959 miles. So this modus tollens is about this radius. And now Blue Marble science is killing this radius, introducing refraction. And he maybe he doesn't understand that introducing refraction is killing this argument. So he cannot prove that the radius of the Earth is that number because he's using refraction already.
Yeah, he's just going with your geometry. we've got refraction.
Yeah.
But QE opened that door by handing them a picture, because the picture's got nothing to do with the argument. The argument's got, QE wouldn't have been, Blue Marble wouldn't have been able to do this had QE not handed a picture over and said, this picture's a black swan. And now everybody's got confused about which is the black swan. Is it the argument? Or is it because Blue Marble seems to think he can rebut the argument by pointing at the picture?
Yes, and he's trying to use this refraction, but refraction effectively makes this whole video of Blue Marble science completely meaningless. Because refraction just cancels these calculations which we have on the screen. All these calculations are completely meaningless because he introduced refraction. And these calculations are based on observation because it refers supposedly to that picture. But now picture cannot say anything about geometric curvature or whatever, but refraction can say something. So why he is using these calculations, which are already meaningless, because he brought refraction. He's killing his own argument. I don't know why he is continuing this clip.
Well, he's going against us and what we've said. He's just explaining his model, right? The best how he knows how to.
Yes, but at the same time, he's completely killing his argument about radius. Maybe he does not realize that.
Yeah, you can look at it now and apparently extend your radius. It's fantastic.
Yes, so it means that this is not that radius. So I don't know how he can rebut that.
Well, isn't that the rebuttal to the argument, right? QE says if the radius is such and such, then Blue Marble says, well, I looked at it and that increased it. So that isn't the radius, QE. Your argument's no good.
But in fact, he's validating QE's argument.
he's validating it. And so he's like contradicting himself, whether he's validating it or dismissing it. It's very confusing, isn't it? It's almost as if Blue Marble had an initial part of all of this number thing that QE put in the argument, if QE made the argument anyway. I think it was Blue Marble science myself. He seems to be, he's the only one defending it. And he's defending it through the numbers in a really convoluted way.
Yes, but he now he validated, of course, wrongly, but he validated QE's argument. But his goal was to invalidate.
Yeah, he has. He's made the refraction claim, right? He's validated the actual argument and then claimed refraction to invalidate it again. Like it's genius, really. I mean,
yes, completely confused. I would say that maybe he does not know what he's doing right now, because he's validating QE's argument, and supposedly he should dismiss it.
You can't. I don't think you can call it QE's argument. QE hasn't come up and owned it, and the only person defending it is Blue Marble, and obviously Brenda's been given it. So maybe QE wants to take hold of the number form, but like he might be fixing it for Brenda.
Maybe, but he is still. For me, this is just funny because argument is incorrect. And because this, as we say, at best, it would invalidate radius. But Blue Marble position in that rebutting argument is that he has to defend radius. But when he brought refraction, he killed his claim about radius. Therefore, he supposedly validated QE's argument, which is maybe not QE's argument. But still, this is just insane. I think that Blue Marble science doesn't know how logic works because he killed his own rebuttal right now.
It's mad, isn't it? Like, you know, once you get into this logic, you can really just say a few words and then sit back and watch what happens. And Blue Marble's gone to a lot of effort making this video to explain this to us. He's helped us out a lot, hasn't he? Much more than you think. People should be taking note of what Blue Marble's saying here. Got 1,500 views. 336 likes. 336 likes. We'll go over this tomorrow. That's quite a lot, isn't it? You know, for something 1,500 views.
I don't know. He is just making fallacious rebuttal to fallacious argument. This is what I can see.
I think so. Well, let's see whether we can pull it back. We've just entered the refraction. So everybody remember that. Refraction, i.e. looking at things, makes the radius of things bigger. It's just a thing within dogmatic globe maths.
Calculation and compare it to an observation that you make through the atmosphere. And there's no simple one formula that's going to work under all conditions because these things happen. This is what the oil rigs in Quantum Eraser's Black Swan look like on a normal day. About 20 feet.
See, we're talking about the picture again now, which isn't the argument.
Yes, different picture.
Yeah.
Because this one, that one that QE brought, it was under not normal conditions. And now we have normal conditions. So, of course, we can argue which conditions are normal.
Mm-hmm. Without an understanding of what the Black Swan is, or a Black Swan, to the falsification argument form, modus tollens. Nobody really has got into the actual argumentation forms and whatnot, because people have been playing games with pictures. So obvious, but I mean, it's been going on for quite a while. And same team, Blue, QE, same team, round and round, revolving, never end.
To the bottom of the oil rig on the right is being blocked, but about half of the one on the left is being blocked, and they're being blocked by the curvature of the Earth. But on a different day, when you have extreme refraction going on, you'll see a thing like this, where the horizon is some indescript distance beyond both of the oil rigs. So that's the fallacy in the modus tollens, Beth. But the formula is correct for a pure geometric calculation.
The fallacy within the modus tollens. What? You're just looking at the picture. How is that a fallacy within the modus tollens?
Fallacy within modus tollens brought by QE is that his conclusion is wrong.
Yeah.
Conclusion is non sequitur. This is what makes this modus tollens fallacious, because a conditional statement, this conditional statement, if the Earth was a sphere with radius blah blah blah, then that would be this distance to horizon, whatever. This is conditional. This is not modus tollens or modus ponens yet. From that conditional statement, you can make modus ponens if you are affirming something, or you can make modus tollens if you are denying. In this case, QE is denying premise or antecedent by denying consequent. And he draw wrong conclusion, because conclusion is should be about radius, not shape of the earth.
Well,
That's
yeah.
why he.
One of the problems I had with QE when he did this, it was to give the picture, right? The picture is your black swan, right? You have to see the black swan. Don't trust other people. Don't take QE's black swan and say, look, QE did a picture of a black swan. And because QE didn't even see it. QE was taking his black swan from a picture, an image. Don't trust images. They're below trust. They're lower than trust in the divided line. Images are just in your imagination.
Yes, and I don't understand why blue marble science can see fallacy looking at the picture.
Looking at a different picture, because
nothing
right,
to do-
QE's gone. Here's the black swan, right? Here's my black swan. Have a look at it. Do you agree it's a black swan? And blue marble's got it and gone, here's a picture of a white swan. And like not addressing the picture that QE's got at all. Oh, in fact, now he's come up with another one. Here's another one that can be considered as a black swan. But I'm going to say that the argument's fallacious because he doesn't account for a different radius. When that was the P statement. We're trapped in a realm of people that cannot understand logic. For the simple state that it's going to kill their argument dead. Because you can see fallacies. Well, once you can understand the logical form, it shows the fallacies. Pretty sure that Blue Marble's just contradicted himself about 3 times already. And yeah, I could probably list them, Blue. Can we start pointing out I think we have done every time, haven't we? Each time Blue Marble Science or anybody makes a contradiction, can we please point it out? And if I miss it and you see one, you point them out as well, because we could do with everybody on this. As long as everyone can see the contradictions, then we're okay.
Yes, and blue marble science is making self-refuting argument here, this refraction. So he's refuting his own claim that the Earth should have this radius. And now with refraction, it has not, because it is much, much bigger. Refraction is making that radius much, much bigger. So this is self-refuting argument. So his rebuttal is, in fact, refuting his own model. And he cannot see that he's just shooting his own foot.
Well, let's see.
I think it's safe to say that you can no longer claim you don't know where that comes from.
The square within the inverse square law is something optical.
Now you're bringing up the inverse square law, Biff.
Yeah, I did. I did bring up the inverse square law to point out it's optical. Because that's what you're doing. You're looking at shit in the distance. We do know that they're different, right?
Yes, they are, objects are shrinking with some rate.
Mm-hmm.
And also light is, let's say, diminishing, or is going dimmer and dimmer with the distance. And this inverse square law is also applied to light propagation. that with distance, I think distance squared is the illumination of object is something like that. I am not into that really, to calculations, but this is something about that also.
He's got
So
here.
we have two.
He's got an F.
We have two factors: diminishing of objects with some rate and propagation of light.
Why do you think he's put this little formula here on the right-hand side?
I have no idea. It has nothing to do with propagation of light and diminishing of objects with distance.
Or Pythagorean mathematics.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, let's see what blue marble science can do.
And the inverse square law has nothing to do with calculating the distance to the horizon or the drop from horizontal. The inverse square law applies when some form of a force or energy is evenly radiated from a single point in 3D space. If it radiates from a single point, it expands like a sphere. The surface area of a sphere expands by the square of its radius. Therefore, the intensity of that energy at the surface has to decrease by the square of the radius. In other words, 1 divided by the square of the radius, hence the term inverse square law. Now, light certainly behaves that way, but so does any other form of electromagnetic radiation. It could be gamma rays, X-rays, radio waves. All of that obeys the inverse square law, but things that don't have anything to do with...
Here's the thing, right? If there is a 6-foot object, same height as you and your eye, a square, in the distance, how far away would it get before you couldn't see it? And would that be anything similar to the other calculations that he's come up with a bit earlier? Similar formulas.
Yeah, this is related to Rayleigh's criterion, but maybe it is called otherwise. I don't know, because for me calculations are not important here, but yes, things are diminishing and distance with a certain rate, and this rate of diminishing of objects with distance can be calculated. Yes.
Again, like his distance to the horizon. But QE's argument, or Blue Marble / QE's argument, or Blue Marble / Brenda's argument, states a measured distance to the horizon, doesn't it?
No. Yes, I'm talking only about calculations.
Yeah.
Because you cannot measure. Absolutely.
Yeah. But Blue Marble hasn't bothered mentioning that in his rebuttal to the thing. He thinks the argument's good. The only thing that's wrong about it is this. He didn't factor in this apart, I think. I think that's what he's going to add into.
With light or electromagnetic radiation also behave by the inverse square law. For instance, Newton's law of gravitation is an inverse square function. Coulomb's law for electrostatics, the same thing. Sound radiating in a gas. All of these things behave in accordance with the inverse square law and have absolutely nothing to do with optics or light. So 1 divided by r squared is not the same thing as the square root of...
Did he say it's got nothing to do with optics or light?
It has, because, yes,
Yeah,
propagation
just go
of
back
light...
and listen to that again, because that can't be right? He might have...
The same thing. Sound radiating in a gas. All of these things behave in accordance with the inverse square law and have absolutely nothing to do with optics or light.
What?
He's making shit up.
Yeah.
Because wave, if you are calculating light as wave, you are calculating the same way as you calculate sound waves. So this propagation is diminishing with this inverted square law. So the farther you go, the less you can see or can hear. So it's the same. As it applies to sound and it applies also to light. So how he can say that it has nothing to do with optics? It has to do everything with optics.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it, really, because that's where most people have heard of it, to do with light. And obviously optics have a lot to do with light. And like the Rayleigh criterion as well. It's all the same sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know, Blue. You might have to explain that. But hey, there's a lot of people. There's 336 people that have liked it. I'll go over the comments.
So 1 divided by r squared is not the same thing as the square root of r. Right, Bev?
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's an optical square that's seen over a distance. And it's about how much light can pass between a distance.
Yeah.
It's just working the opposite way, right?
Yes, but this is essentially the same. So when he is talking about this distance to horizon, these calculations are derived from the Robotham calculations.
Which is optical.
No paper. Now you're talking about a formula that approximates the drop from horizontal over distance.
Ooh, it approximates the drop from horizontal. With this, that doesn't look like it. That's not the same drop that Mick West uses. What's he doing? He's got a sloping rumpus pole.
But you can see that this picture is utterly the same as previous one. This just this.
D's in a different place. He's just
yes,
mirrored it.
Yeah, yes, but calculation is the same. Because starting point for drop, let's say this Robotham's drop, is from tangent point, always in both directions. So you can, if you are, for example, 1 mile from this geometric horizon, so it means that you are dropping from horizon. And then you can add, you can subtract this from your distance from object. So this is very, very simple. It doesn't make any sense on the model, but still it is how Robotham used that. And now his Blue Marble Science is doing the same.
Can I just go over a little bit again? Let's hear what he says.
Essentially the same. So when he is talking about this distance to horizon, these calculations are derived from the Robotham calculations.
Which is optical.
No paper. Now you're talking about a formula that approximates the drop from horizontal over distance.
See, approximates the drop from horizontal. Now, where's horizontal in that picture? Anyone take a guess?
That would be D, but
CD.
observer is not there.
CD.
CD, yeah.
Okay, now where's the drop?
That would be H.
Shouldn't that be drop from horizontal measured on a vertical, which would be perpendicular to the horizontal? That's not perpendicular to the horizontal. What's he trying to get away with here? Who does he think he can kid?
Yes, and Robotham was aware of that because that's why he said that you can use that to certain distance, because the difference between H being like this, radius extension of the radius, and vertical is negligible if you are close enough. So and he was talking about that this difference between h being radial extension and h being real drop from a horizontal. So that's why it is estimation. He said that this is estimation. This is what Robotham did. I cannot say that it is correct, but Blue Marble Science is not aware of Robotham, let's say, calculations, I think.
I think we did this sort of stuff ages ago, right? And going through the similar sort of stuff. Page in the thing. We came up with this is Page's proof. It's not perpendicular. Like, how can you say drop from horizontal and then have a slope, Blue? I mean, is that really what you call drop from horizontal? Is that how you measure drop from horizontal? And drop from horizontal's a elevation change, isn't it?
Yes.
He's in the chat.
Yes, and he is confusing many things here.
Yeah. Well done, Blue. You're showing everyone that, you know, Flat Earth Society, this is how Flat Earth Society works. And the more times you get away with it, you know, the more times you imagine you're talking to Flat Earthers with this circular argument. Well, you're not talking, we're not Flat Earthers. We will pick holes in your arguments, and this one is, if it's a geometric argument, presuming a drop from horizontal, you claim a drop from horizontal, but that's not a perpendicular drop from horizontal, if that's what you want to call horizontal, Blue.
Yeah, and by the way, if you have this D,
is that where the horizon is? Is the horizon at D?
No.
Where's the horizon at then?
Horizon is at C. And you, as observer, on the right side. So this D should be mirrored on the left side. That would be you. And you have your H being horizontal at your position. So this C, this tangent line called small d, is not does not depict a drop from your local horizontal at all.
One of those things that you can try and do sophistry within images, right? But when you try and do it through geometry, you'll get into trouble every time because it's obvious to people who can understand this stuff. Your sophistry is shit, Blue. It's terrible.
Yes, it's mess because the horizontal line and drop from horizontal would be at this point if observer is here. So his horizontal would be not established at point C, but at point B. And as we can see, that would be not parallel to point C.
It would make what we call the bridge of asses, proposition 5 within Euclidean geometry. The stumbling part where people couldn't really get past. Well, Blue Marble's basically drawing half of it. If he finishes it off, he will literally draw the bridge of asses, which is a Euclidean proposition. And we've done a fair bit of work on this sort of stuff. And trust us, it's really simple. Just, sorry, Blue. Your geometry is shit. Or at least your dogmatic geometry has always been shit. Not even any need to be messing about with anything. Sorry, go on.
So talking about this inverse square or square root, it doesn't matter. It completely doesn't matter in argument. So what he is trying to draw is and bringing a refraction is completely killing this drawing, and this drawing is already a mess. And I was dealing with that already in 2016 because it was
This is
also
Al-Biruni, isn't it? This is ancient. This.
Yeah. This is problem they cannot solve because you cannot have horizontal being at your position, and supposedly you have to measure this drop from your local horizontal. But in fact, you are creating, as this in this picture, you are creating this horizontal D not from your position. So from what you are making a drop, you are calculating drop. So horizontal is not established at viewer point, but they are trying to calculate some drop from horizontal, which is not there, where observer is. It's complete mess.
It's geometric sophistry, which they can get away with as long as they can convince people that they don't understand mathematics. They've been doing it for a long time. My eyes are a little bit fucked at the minute. Can anyone read that message from Mike, please? Thanks, Mike. I'm just catching up, but can I please confirm that Blue has conceded that reality requires 3D space? His citation of the inverse square law. Because that is Euclidean, isn't it? The inverse square law.
I think so. But it is also for optics. Yes, it is used not only in optics and sound, but they calculate this gravity or whatever. It doesn't matter. It is just about propagation of maybe even energy. I don't know because I am not into physics in this calculations of physics.
Well, it would be called the radius, right? This is what I've been saying all along, right? Whenever you're doing a distance calculation with anything to do with the square law, the distance from you to the object becomes the radius of your calculations, because it's a distance measurement, straight line. And then that square that's formed is at a distance from the point. Like as he showed with the inverse square, right? It goes to a point. So the squares are formed at that distance away. So the actual square, right? If you imagine the squares that you're looking at in the distance will be classed as a radian, right? You know, a measurement in radians, whereas the distance that you are away from it will be classed as the radius. You with us?
I cannot process that because for me it is like this is algebraic function for and in fact for just strength of the light, for example.
Yeah.
So the light is weaker and weaker with non linear let's say function. But it's for if you have that double distance, I would say it is weaker by 4 times, something like that. So it is not linear proportion between strength of the light and distance. It's not 1-to-1.
Yeah, I think I had to explain it to my dad, right? Let's say you're 6 foot tall, but in the distance you're looking at something that's 6 foot square. Right now, there is a distance that gets to where you can't see it. It diminishes to a point. But so the 6 foot square that you initially saw has diminished to a point in the distance. That point would be classed as the inverse, because that's the point where it diminishes, where it's a 6 foot that you are. Right, but you're actually thinking of the object going into the distance. So that your eye is the point in one aspect because you're looking at something, but what you're looking at also disappears as well. That's also the point. If you know, can you see what I mean? There's 2 points: your eye, the one that's receiving the light, and the distance of the object that is also diminished to a point.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
But I think that you are talking about, in fact, perspective, because this is how perspective works. So that they are, but I don't think that perspective works in the same rate as weakening of the light.
Because you need the full isosceles cone, if you know what I mean, right? You're not, with perspective, you're referencing it to like half of that, aren't you? You're not seeing the underneath part as well. So with perspective, it's different but similar, because you're only seeing half of it doing.
And you don't have a real triangle, because the light coming to your eye is not a point, and so the triangle is not closing at your eye, because it is still have distance between.
Yeah, it's closing at the distance as well, isn't it? You know, that's why it's hard to explain, because the object doesn't actually diminish in size. It becomes, there's a point at both ends of this sort of thing.
Yes, and in fact, if you have big object, it will not diminish to a point, because many people are and globers, and I saw many films, let's say educational films about optics. And of course, in that films, you have pictures and animations which are simplified. So they are depicting, for example, only 2 rays incoming from the edge of the object and from the middle of the object, and incoming to the side of your lens and through optical axis. So they are removing all other rays incoming, only for simplification. But many times they are depicting object or rays incoming from that object as it was incoming from a point, which is wrong, because object is not a point. So if you have large object, it will not diminish to a point. He will not. So in fact, when this object will reach Rayleigh criterion, he will stop to diminish, because in infinite distance, rays incoming from any object will be parallel or close to parallel, infinitely close to parallel. And it means that it already reached Rayleigh criterion. This angle, I don't
this
think.
Is one. I think you can't diminish horizontal, but all vertical heights always seem to diminish over distance to this point. They diminish to the horizontal, but that never, the horizontal never diminishes.
Yeah, because horizon, if we are talking about horizon, this is just the distance where this Rayleigh criterion is occurring, and everything which is behind that is compressed to that line. So whole surface of the water from that point where you cannot dissolve between objects is compressed to a line. So this line, which we call horizon, is just compressed surface of the water. This is what we can see as a line of horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Compressed, let's say plane, for lacking better word. But the surface of the water, if we have surface of the water and at some distance, few miles, we have Rayleigh criterion, and farther from that, all water is compressed to that horizon.
Well, there's a small angle where there's a
too small. Yes,
yeah,
you cannot resolve.
In between at some point.
So from point, let's say, a few miles to infinity, there is a surface of water that you cannot dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we can see that this is a line.
That's why we call it an apparent position. That's how we know that we can call it horizontal, because it can be confirmed as being that. Not only logically, but obviously through measurements.
Yes, this is just compressed, let's say, plane or surface of water, if we are dealing with water. So this is just compressed to a line. Like plane compressed, visually compressed to a line. Because of Rayleigh criterion. Because we cannot resolve. And it can be easily depicted in drawings and pictures, whatever.
Yeah, and it's entirely Euclidean, 1.22, obviously.
Absolutely.
The formulas derived from Euclidean. It's all there. And Blue actually admits it's all just Euclidean geometry. That's what he's using, and it's unfortunate for him.
Yes, and optics operates only within Euclidean geometry. I have seen a lot of optical educational and maybe even professional films about lenses, optics, photography, all that operates within Euclidean geometry. Always.
Yep. Here we go. Finish this off.
And Robotham didn't come up with this. Surveyors had been using this for many, many years. Again.
What? Let me...
Calculators?
Which is optical.
No paper. Now you're talking about a formula that approximates the drop from horizontal over distance. And Robotham didn't come up with this. Surveyors had been using this for many, many years.
To approximate a drop from horizontal? I don't think so, Blue. I don't think surveyors approximate drops of anything. I think they're pretty precise. when they say first order measurements, you don't use an approximation within a first order measurement. Terrible blow, but
yes. And by the way,
expected.
this is why also that they use barrel distortion within auto levels, because if you have barrel distortion up and down, so when this middle crosshair is, you are getting rid of perspective as much as you can, because this is
yeah, there's
for
specially formulated lenses within the auto level to keep the point right in the center on the crosshairs.
Yes, because they are getting rid of perspective. So there is, for some distance, of course, only it works only. That's why this distance is limited, because if you go too far, this, of course, this measuring rod point, let's say, will drop optically, and it would even drop too much because of this barrel distortion. But it keeps to certain distance as close to zero perspective. So that's why it is barrel distortion, because there is no other point of using barrel distortion within auto level other than to getting rid of perspective for short distance only. That's why you can measure 2 millimeter, but only to certain distance, because if you go more, it would drop rapidly, even more rapidly than within a normal lens, spherical lens.
Yeah. Like, because when you sight the horizon with an auto level, obviously it's below that center line, and you can see curvature in it. You don't need to be much away from it, and obviously further to the sides you get, the further away from the center, the worse it gets.
Yeah. So it is curving, which should not be curving, because it shows barrel distortion, and this drop from middle crosshair is when you are sighting water horizon is even ridiculous, because with normal lens you would not have that great distance between middle crosshair and horizon.
No.
But this is what barrel distortion does. So for certain short distance, you have no perspective drop, let's say, from middle crosshair, but only it works only for certain distance. But it makes this measurement very accurate, but only to limited distance. Beyond that distance, it would drop rapidly. That's why I would say that's why they write to which distance you can measure. It doesn't mean that you cannot see further, but only to certain distance, this barrel distortion would not affect measurement.
Again, just like the distance of the horizon, we can work this out with the Pythagorean theorem. If line AC and line AB are both radius lines, 3,959 miles in length, and C to D is approximately the same as the surface distance.
What? It's not even approximately in your drawing. Terrible, blow. Absolutely terrible.
For the arc from C to B, and that's roughly true for short distances or distances up to 100 miles or so. And if we assume H is roughly perpendicular to line CD, which is also true for very small angles.
You're making assumptions that your drawing just doesn't do, though. and you expect people to believe this. Like, look at it, it makes no sense, and it doesn't correlate anything with what you're saying. Your words mean absolutely nothing compared to that picture. In fact, that picture refutes your words, yet you expect people to believe this bullshit.
Yes, but
telling assumptions as well.
This is what Robotham. So Robotham delivered this bullshit, and now Blue
Blue's
Marble
defending
Science
it.
is repeating.
Yeah. Flat Earth Society, brothers. Same thing for the same purpose. You think Robotham was Flat Earth Society, and do you think Flat Earth Society is Flat Earth? Because I don't. Never have. Flat Earth Society people just want this constant argument to be going round and round. They're the ones that invented it. Same as Blue Marble, are wanting to keep it going. Robotham had the same intentions as Big Blue. Flat Earth Society.
Then h is equal to r minus the square root of r squared minus d squared. Do the math, and that is 8 inches times distance in miles squared. That's where that comes from. But
it's impossible in reality to be able to do that. Ask Slice Barcane to when he was doing his bending water level experiment.
Don't give Robotham credit for this. He's not the guy that thought it up. That's for sure.
No, Robotham calculations are not up to.
What do Robotham's calculations come from? Come on, give us that.
Only from
The dreams that you had.
I think it was he wrote that his calculations are from, I think
you do want
better than this.
I don't remember in which book, but he's writing this in Parallax.
You could do so. You want
really
him to do
couldn't
so
remember.
much you could do anything.
It's a tough question, right? I asked it for that purpose. And obviously, I don't know who else would fucking answer it, right? Where did he get them from?
Yes, and as I remember, it is proportion 45, if I am not mistaken, from some book of Euclid. So this is what he wrote. And I still really can't remember because I don't want to read Parallax anymore. So I am going with my weak memory. So I think it is proportion 45, which is for specific curve, which is very similar to circumference of the circle, but it is not really that. It is different, slightly different. And this curve has its own name, which I don't remember now. So this is a proportion for some curve, specific curve, which is very similar to curve of the circle. But this is what I remember. And this 8 inches per mile square, which is not really 8 inches because it is 798 or 99. Really?
Blue had 8800017. He had a plus on the 8 side.
No. Robotham has less.
I know,
less.
yeah, I heard that. But I think I heard Brenda say
999 or so, something like that.
Yeah.
And this is from that curve. Maybe I would go again to Parallax and I will bring that name of that curve because
it was 7.98 because we were questioning the ability to decimalize imperial measurements.
Yeah, yeah. But he made this 8 because he said that he wrote that it would be sufficient approximation for short distances. So he said that this 8 inches works for like 1,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all.
Yes, but this is what he wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, the Flat Earth Society member, right? He's an admitted Flat Earth Society, whereas Blue Marble Science is a sort of agent of the Flat Earth Society, undercover. Quite sneaky with it as well. Him and QE in it together.
He took from proportion 45. I don't remember where proportions are in Euclid. And he took proportion 45 from which book I don't remember. And this proportion is about curve, very similar to sphere. And some part, this is irregular.
Would it be fair to say that Gladys knows more about this than the try-thinking think tank? Boy, I hope Gladys didn't hear me say that. Thanks for watching.
Seriously, Blue?
And
Wow.
why
Well
should I
done.
know correctly what this curve is and
You
what
noticed Blue
proportion?
didn't tell everyone, did he? He didn't correct you or sort of...
Yeah,
You
he
know.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime you want to make a video about what it actually is to tell all of your loyal subs, I mean, how many people have watched it? 1,536 likes.
I personally don't feel obligation to make correct statement from what proportion Robotan did something, because for me it is whole bullshit anyway.
Yeah. Well, Blue Marble stuck up for it. He told all of the 1,500 people that they should be performing Euclidean geometry in order to work on their model, obviously. Yeah,
So
I think
not
you did
spherical
really well,
geometry.
Blue.
Did he use spherical geometry?
No,
Here?
no, he didn't. No, he just used Euclidean, Pythagorean. He did it without needing to do. So, I mean, there was no need for them to even attempt to do non-Euclidean geometry. If they'd have gone with Blue's numbers and stuff, wouldn't have needed to. So thank you very much, Blue. I think you showed everyone you and supported Brenda. Was it Brenda or was it QE? Who was supporting who there within that argument? Anyone got an idea? Because that's what we were asking. We were asking who was the originator of the modus tollens that QE called the Black Swan. Well, didn't Blue Marble state that it was a valid argument? He just missed out refraction.
Yeah, it's a Rumpus, wasn't it? Who did it? Who said it first?
What, the Black Swan? QE's Black Swan.
Yeah, he had said, like, cause this is his proof of a concept called super looming, that with enough refraction in a powerful enough telescope, according to the Rumpus, and I think also Ruhif now too, is that you could see the back of your head.
Yeah, I've got like the Flat Earth stating that with was it a refraction of curvature of 1? You could see infinitely far. Oh no, it matches the curvature of the Earth, I think, or something like that. They were saying.
Yes, because this 6/6, that would be a match. But they are creating 7/6 because in reality, of course, refraction occurs. And they had to add this 1/6 in addition to make it more real. But in fact, yes, in their model, with no atmosphere, let's say, if you could see infinitely at infinite distance, you will see your own back of your own head, because light is in their model, light is bending around Earth. So if you could see infinitely at infinite distance, you would see back of your head. This is another paradox from their model.
Yeah, I can't find it. Yeah, I did have that. I've got that clip somewhere. Them saying about the oh yeah, might have been the other. Wow.
It's pretty hilarious. That's why I think QE picked it up after that and said, well, superlumin's not real, and his counter argument was that
So
Neil
Rumpus came
Thomas
with the
Young.
numbers.
Yeah, if I remember, if I got the lore correct, it was originally a Rumpus argument.
Nice.
Rumpus' argument was about refraction, but I think that he was not creator. He was creating his own model and calculations, and he brought that to Nathan Oakley, and it was huge, let's say, discussion about his model and refraction, etc. So, but I think he's not inventor. I think he may think that he invented his own model of refraction, but in fact, it is delivered by Mick West and I think Walter Brislin, maybe, but I think Mick West was originator, because Rumpus many times said that he was in contact with Mick West with this refraction model. But it was like 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe even earlier.
Well, that makes more sense that Blue's defending it if it's come from Rumpus.
Yeah, they probably had offline talks. It's like, dude, you can't throw this under the bus. So it's gonna make me look like like a goofball. That's why the only problem with Black Swan, the way QE presents it, is that he didn't present it the way Rumpus presented it.
Well, that's why I think he gave the picture, right? Because as the argument, it stands as a geometric argument. But if as soon as he introduces a picture, then it allows the refraction argument to be able to be applied to it, which then changes the argument completely.
Yes, and it kills it kills globe, in fact, because this radius. As Blue Marble said today, we could hear refraction makes radius bigger. It means that he's proving by that we cannot prove this radius using refraction. This is implication of his statement, but he doesn't realize that he shouldn't use refraction to when using this modus tollens, because it is self-refuting argument.
If I may, is there possible you could go over the first part with the slope again, which shows the tangent to the horizontal, and how that's a downward a line with like a point slope form? It's mostly for Owlish, because that's what I invited her to the server because I saw you talking about it, and that's one of the things she's been debating.
Okay.
Over on politics.
Really? That one. Okay,
Yep, right there. The CD. or
Yeah.
CD plus. Yeah.
He does a trick, whereas later on he just flips it round and he pretends one's the other. It's just a geometric trick, right? That's the line that they want you to believe's horizontal, this one with a big slope on it, and then at the end, look, he does the same thing, but he's just flipped it around. It's the same drawing.
Yeah. Just
You're over
mirroring.
here. You've just got to imagine you're here and this is over here. Whereas in this bit here, like, you are here on top of the mountain. You're Alberuni on the stick, measuring an angle on a stick here over here, and then a little bit later on, oh look, Alberuni's over here, but you're here now.
But in fact, this D here and on the previous picture is your line of sight. This is how Robotan depicted it, and by definition, it is not horizontal. But now, it is suddenly horizontal.
Yeah,
because
the
as you
trick
can
is
see,
on this one here. There's a proposition within Euclid. It's called 316, as if that's prophetic enough. It's book 3, proposition 16, and it states that no other line can be drawn at this point that would not cut the circle. I.e., you can't see anything. You can't look there, because you're going to see this point here, because geometrically this is a tangent point, and you can't see anything on the surface from this point if you consider it a line of sight. But yet they want you to believe you're looking over here at the horizon, but the horizon would be here at this point. You can't see anywhere. You can't draw another line without cutting this circle. Like, this is the one and only line you can draw across there. If you do that, it'll cut the circle here. If you do that, it'll cut the circle there. That's the tangent point, the tangent line, the relationship of the two.
Yes, and this D, because of this observer in previous picture, this is the same label of the line, D, this tangent, let's say. And this line of sight is not supposed to be horizontal. So, in fact, it cannot depict drop from horizontal anyway. So it is that's why I call it complete mess, because they are messing, they are creating this tangent, which is line of sight. They are making this line of sight horizontal, but not at observer point, because they cannot. And they are making at the point where this line is touching this so-called geometric horizon. So this is how to name it. This is making things up. Pyramidal conjuring things, because it's invention. It's nothing about reality. I would say that this is geometrical sophistry here.
Yeah, that's all it is, isn't it?
That's why they are falling into contradictions immediately.
I mean, it's geometric sophistry, right? But not geometric sophistry because he's trying to trick you. It's geometric sophistry because he has to trick himself. He's using Euclidean geometry to describe. You see where the water level is there? Where do you think the water level would be? He's using this just to trick himself. He's not fooling anyone. Not on this server, anyway.
Yeah.
Do you get that?
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to go over it again,
Yeah.
so Alish could see it. I don't want to put her in the spot or anything, but if you got any questions, pipe up. You know, like everyone here is like super friendly.
Yes, I guess like the only thing I would have is like, is the argument what that the tangent is at the wrong place? I'm like trying to understand because I'm kind of coming in halfway through.
The tangent for what?
The tangent for the triangle.
The...
Because
Go on.
I guess like I came in halfway through, so I don't exactly know what the argument is besides you're looking out of the, are you arguing drop over distance or?
Well, that's the thing. If you're imagining drop over distance,
Mhm.
do you imagine the drop to be perpendicular to horizontal? Like, are you aware of how in reality elevation changes are measured? Because you might be getting caught up within an argument that is purely within an arena that doesn't have reality measurements within it. You might be caught up within an argument within an arena that's specifically been made for you to have these arguments.
Generally from my understanding, the tangent is like there because usually that's measured like in a vacuum, but in reality you would have refraction, which is kind of like, I don't know, people don't want to hear. Is that accurate or no?
Right.
People don't want to hear about refraction because this is new refraction, because already it is already known what refraction is.
But it doesn't change. It doesn't change the physical object that exists at all.
Yes,
so if you're talking geometry, you're talking about the actual objects and the shape, the size, the volume, whatever of them, the geometric principles of it. So that doesn't change because you look at it.
Yes, so it may change only apparent position, but not only object, but the whole picture or part of the picture. But what they call refraction is new refraction. It's called terrestrial refraction. And it only can work on the globe. You can imagine. So it is begging the question, refraction, non-existent refraction, because refraction doesn't work in that way that they depict this Mick West or Rumpus or Walter Bislin, whatever. It doesn't work that way, but they say that it works and works only on the globe. So that's why it is circular reasoning. Without a globe, this refraction, terrestrial refraction, wouldn't work.
If refraction, then globe.
Yeah. No.
No, it is.
If refraction,
it is.
Wait a second. Yes, you're right, but you are making a short circle. But the full circle is because refraction, we cannot see a curve. But because refraction is, therefore curvature is. But we cannot see that because of refraction. Because refraction makes curved line straight, because we see our line of sight is straight. But in fact, this straight line, we see a straight line.
Because some
Pardon?
can do it through non-Euclidean geometry as well at the same time, right? You don't need refraction
Yeah.
if you've got non-Euclidean geometry in your back pocket.
Yeah, yes, yes. So they are trying to get rid of this refraction, which is bullshit, complete bullshit, using spherical geometry for optics. And this is another trick they are trying to do. Because then you cannot discern between straight lines in optics, line of sight being straight and line of sight being curved. You will not distinct.
What within that picture, right? Where would you imagine the horizontal, and where would you imagine the vertical?
In which
I'm
picture?
talking to Owlish, because if you're getting stuck with the you know, in an argument, I don't know what you would be arguing. If you're arguing the positioning of the tangent, then
I guess from my understanding, the drop over distance or the measurement of that kind of argues that there would be X amount of feet over a certain amount of distance. So and so amount of land would be obscured by Earth curve, but from my understanding, that can't be true because of the fact that this is calculated in a vacuum and not necessarily taking into account environmental and other factors like refraction from the atmosphere.
well, McToon
That's just
berated Professor Dave Farina. He's dropped the professor thing recently because he's not a professor. So he said that it works for physical, and also Blue Marble, I think, can verify that this number, the 8 inches per mile squared, works for physical drop of the water level, right? Not refraction.
Yes, I
That's
agree. Yes.
the difference, right? So this is physical drop, like measurable drop from the horizontal, right? Not optical, physical. So don't get tied up in the thing. So when you're imagining and you're looking at that picture, where would you imagine vertical and horizontal? Because Paige came to a realization quite a bit ago through Rumpus's pictures, just like this. Because
I
go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I see what you mean because you said something like, "Is this person standing on top of a mountain to see for what is that? C to C? Wait, C to view D. Let me not use C. Is that what you were saying? I'm sorry if I'm like not understanding.
Well, if the C to D is a horizontal, then can CH be vertical?
Probably not. I mean, you're not gonna be able to have something that tall to be able to see that distance.
But vertical and horizontal are perpendicular, which means that you have a right angle. Now, as you're looking at that picture, how could you have the drop measured in the distance perpendicular to the horizontal line that you're meant to be measuring it from?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess I just don't really know. Right?
It's impossible.
I guess I just don't. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I get what you mean.
It's impossible on a dogmatic globe model when you're looking at that picture. You can't imagine the vertical and horizontal relationship occurring on that circle because it can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, because horizontal on that picture should be perpendicular to this short line H. So that would be your horizontal. And from that horizontal, you should measure a vertical drop, but not at your point, but at distance. So to D, maybe, to that, where D is.
But it's
But this
all
is not
all entirely Euclidean. So what you can't use is you can't use Euclidean geometry to prove non-Euclidean geometry. That's impossible. And you can't falsify Euclidean geometry by using Euclidean geometry proofs. Becomes very difficult once you get into the geometric argument, which seems very silly because you're talking to a group of people that are meant to be experienced in debating shape. Is Blue making a video out of the chat? Can he not rebut it? I think him and QE must be in it together. QE can't come over. Defend any of this. Yeah, sorry. It's hard work to try and deal with it because what you're talking about an argument that isn't really an argument. It's been made up. And all of these circles that you try to imagine a rebuttal to, it's not really an argument to start off with. So you don't really have to rebut. And if you do want to rebut it, then it's dead easy to rebut it geometrically with the horizontal and vertical perpendicularity, because that's impossible with all of these principles. They have to diminish horizontal to a point. It becomes impossible to have a horizontal plane to measure the drop from. So when they say it's a calculation of a measured drop from horizontal, well, that horizontal doesn't exist in their model at the point they want to try and measure it from. We tagged it quite a few years ago, bendizontal. I think that's going to make a big comeback.
Yes, and in that picture, as we can still see, there is no horizontal here. So, and drop is supposedly from horizontal. So if observer is point C, we have, let's say this H is vertical in observer position, but we haven't got here horizontal. We have only vertical. So where should be horizontal? Of course, perpendicular to H. And then from that horizontal, supposedly we would measure, calculate drop from that horizontal. But this is not in the picture. But this line D is labeled as being horizontal, but not at observer point, but at point D, which is ridiculous, of course, because there is no one at the D point. There is supposedly tangent point, this horizon point, or whatever they call it. But horizontal plane is established always as in observer point, not at horizon. So it means that the whole argumentation
That's
is
why they
based
do this
on
flip,
nothing.
isn't it? That's why they do
Yeah.
that. They're like, woo, magic trick. You didn't see that? Just, whoa, woo. We'll just put C over there and then we've got a horizontal. And now your
Yeah.
measured drop from horizontal isn't vertical.
When it's like this, right? Or this picture, this is called the rumpus pole, right? The H.
H is the rumpus pole,
yeah.
but this is
Yeah.
a rumpus pole that's... wait a minute, let me get that. Go on, you go on, keep going.
Okay, so like C would be your observer, and D would be, or H would be rumpus pole going up to D. And with switch the other way around, is that still a rumpus pole, or is that something? Is that a little bit different?
This observer height, this is your rumpus pole, your own.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But this rumpus pole here at point D is this object at which you are looking. So, but it is the same.
Well,
In
it's
fact,
not.
it is
It's
the
not.
same.
It's not, because Mick West and the calculated thingy numbers has perpendicular to surface level, which he had as being horizontal. Right, the drop from surface level was
The drop over D.
Yes, and this is non-existent in this picture. And Mick West added this dotted line because it is also non-existent in their model. So this surface level line refers to nothing. But
well, that's the horizontal that you actually have in reality to measure the drop from. But the question is, like Crit just said, how do you orientate your rumpus pole? Is it perpendicular to surface level like Mick West has, or do you go with the Alberuni / Blue Marble Science on an imagined sightline below the surface level?
Yeah, like if you're on top of the rumpus pole, like almost on stilts, and the rumpus pole is below you.
I've just put a meme in the live chat, so you can see the rumpus pole and you can see Mick West's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is. Okay.
Explaining the rumpus pole as well, because that's what you're dealing with here. You're talking about the separation of horizontal and level. That's what all of these curvature calculators are for. How much curvature you have to imagine in a horizontal / level in order for you to believe that you can live on the dogmatic globe model.
Yes, and in this Mick West picture, you can see that this surface level is not used in calculation, in fact. So it is completely redundant. And what it tells us? It tells us that we deal with begging the question. Because he's not starting from reality, but he's starting already from model. So this curving level is already assumed, and then he is trying to calculate something from that. But this is called circular reasoning. You cannot prove anything using circular reasoning. But he is doing that. But he added this surface level for peace and quiet. Okay, we have surface level, straight line, horizontal, okay. But it is not used in his calculations. It is redundant.
And that's why they can't really have this perpendicular relationship of horizontal and vertical, even though horizontal and vertical are perpendicular everywhere. Just not at two places at the same time, according to the dogmatic globe model.
Yes, and we can see on this picture, Blue Marble Science drawn. that he didn't draw any horizontal line here because he cannot. And he cannot use horizontal line, the straight line at observer point, because it would not match his calculations for a globe model. That's why he cannot use that. He's using line of sight, which is not horizontal, and they say that this is horizontal at midpoint, but this is still line of sight. So it is not horizontal at your position. So he is not starting from reality, because in reality, everyone, even not surveyor, will start from establishing some sort of horizontal at his vantage point, let's say.
Yeah, and you measure drop from that vertically.
Yeah,
the
because
vertical-
he
on the
should measure,
vertical
yeah.
datum.
Yes, so now this D line is not horizontal, and it is not supposed to be horizontal. So from what they are measuring drop? No answer.
Yeah, they can't even have perpendicularity across a horizontal. That's the problem. They can't have a horizontal line of any distance, because you can't have two perpendiculars to it. Because the geometric law of Euclidean geometry says, and they'll be parallel. And they've got one of their axioms that states, no, we can't have parallels. There's no parallels. I bet they don't tell you that whenever you're getting into arguments. Yeah, distill your water, everyone. Well done. Oh, bastard, just distill your water. All of those remnants of everybody's tablets seems to cloud people's minds. Please distill your water. You're going to need all of your cognitive abilities. You need them all intact. That's a pretty good show tonight.
Yep. Blue Marble Science was going along with dilemma, because this, let's say, geometric argument, let's say, they call it geometric argument, and refraction argument. And this is what creates dilemma, because they said back in the day on FED that this is Arwinian paradox, but this is not Arwinian paradox. It is a dilemma, not paradox. Because if you use refraction, you cannot use these calculations. And if you use these calculations, you cannot use refraction, because they are mutually exclusive. Because you are replacing geometric calculation with refraction. You cannot use them both. That's dilemma. If you are using refraction, you are killing so-called geometric argument. If you are using geometric argument, you are killing refraction. Simple. You cannot use both.
Yeah, and you would expect the inverse square law has got something to do with squares, or maybe people will try and kid you that it's just a mathematical calculation. Squares have parallel sides. The opposite sides of a square will be parallel, and if that's got anything to do with a square in optics, in reality, then it's got to be Euclidean. And even if looking at things is Euclidean, then where do you get non-Euclidean from? How do you bend straight lines and say there are no parallels? The globe
In
model
fact,
geometrically is in big problems.
In fact, they cannot do that. They cannot bend straight lines, even using refraction, because this is again self-refuting argument, because we see in straight lines. Whatever refraction would be, bendy rise in coming to our, it doesn't matter, because we have point-to-point measurement. One point is in our eye, and other point is at the object. It doesn't matter which path the light would come, we would see it in straight line anyway. It can be bendy line, it can be wavy line, whatever. We see in straight lines, and we relate positions of objects in straight lines and using angles with straight lines. So it completely doesn't matter even in that argument if light bends or not, is bending or not bending. It doesn't matter because we still see in straight lines. So using refraction is completely, they are killing their own argument. They cannot use that. It means, because conclusion from that would be that we are proving that we live on the globe with curvature because we cannot see curvature. This is self-contradictory statement, but this is what they have to do. Proving curvature by straight line. This is what they are trying to do with this refraction.
He can't see contradictions, he's admitted.
Yeah.
He has no ability to see any contradictions in anything. So, you know, he can just carry on. And like he says, I think he's already thinks he's wiped the floor with us tonight, apparently.
I think so, yeah.
Claim victory. And I'm sure that, you know, the people that have watched these videos, they're 1,500, and he's only got 336 thumbs up. It's weird.
Maybe because Blue Marble Science thinks that the strength of the power of argument is in numbers, and it is not. The power of argument is in logic, not in numbers. It doesn't matter if this h is inverse square root or whatever. It completely doesn't matter. Proof is in logic. This is logical proof. So he is refuting his own argument using refraction, and he cannot recognize that, and he's very happy that he calculated some numbers here, made some equations based on the Pythagorean theorem. This is it makes him happy, but it doesn't change the thing that he is refuting himself. He cannot see that. This is his problem, and problem of modern science, that they will fill whiteboard with equations, and there you go, we have plenty of proofs. Our whiteboard is filled with equations. And this is not a proof. This is just equation.
Square root helps you understand how the square of the distance influences the square root of the intensity. Sounds very smart.
Yeah.
It probably means absolutely nothing to lots of people. Don't worry
Yeah.
if it doesn't mean anything to you, because you won't be on your own. It doesn't really matter. Right. I think that was a good show. We're going to come back tomorrow, but I don't know how long we're going to be. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be logic, and it's going to be, well, comedy, really. It's how the blue marble scientists, one of them in particular, treats logic. And there's a little twist at the end that you'll think's absolutely amazing. Entirely geometric again. And all about logic. So if you're into that sort of stuff, you can come and join us tomorrow. Has anyone got any requests, Buster? No? What you want to
the song from the beginning one, I'd like to hear it again. I mean, or unless you don't do that.
Dead Straight Lines.
Yeah.
I've not heard that one for a bit. I was going to do Wisdom, because we've not done that one for quite a while. And that's the geometry one. Yeah, I'm going to do Wisdom. We already did. Thank you for watching, sticking with us. I know it's been tough. There is a lot of arguments that have gone around this place, round and around, that people have learned to rebut. They may not have been arguments to start off with. I don't even know what Blue Marble's argument is. He's just sort of claiming that the one that QE calls the Black Swan is a good argument, except it doesn't take into account refraction, and refraction nullifies the argument in the first place. So I don't know what his claim is, and I've never seen a guy come up with an argument. But tomorrow we will. Genius one as well, and I think it comes with a challenge to flat earthers. So if you're a flat earther and you're into argumentation and you want to try and rebut somebody with a modus polens.
Pollens.
Pollens. Modus pollens. It's genius. Right, okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. And catch us tomorrow. Short one, 8 o'clock. See you then.
It is probably the single most important mathematical idea of all. The notion of proof by circle and line or ruler and compass construction means that geometry can be known about in a way that is different from knowing about physical things, and so makes geometry epistemically differentiated. Furthermore, starting from circles and lines alone and constructing a relationship using circles and lines alone makes the conclusions certain in a way that nothing else was at the time. In geometric reasoning, the argument and the conclusions were made supremely clear and evident to the senses. Indeed, the concept of proof, a mechanism that gave a warrant for claiming geometry to be perfectly and absolutely true, made geometry the very paradigm of what we mean true and certain knowledge to be. In effect, in our understanding of nature, true means true, like geometry is true.
Come go with me. Open your mind. Was all I ever knew. Finding the knowledge of the real world starts with the point of which has no parts. These These are the axioms of life.
True.
And I'll take my chances with the old ways, finding the proofs in geometry. And I don't care what all the sophists say, I find the proofs
We call this
in
proof.
reality. They were right.
We call this
We
proof.
know that they were right.
True. We call this proof. Like geometry is true.
Starting with circles and lines alone, constructing the nature of what's known.
We call this proof.
Conclusions are clear and the evidence seen. This 3D space works perfectly. And I'll take my chances with the old ways, finding the proofs in
Like geometry.
geometry. And I don't care what all the sophists say, I find the proofs in reality.
Like geometry is true. Perfect. Absolutely.
And all around you is sinking sand. You have a place on which to stand. Foundations were already built for you.
Absolutely true.
Open your mind, and I'll take my chances with the old ways, hearing the words of what the ancients said. They say my words sound like sorcery, but there's wisdom in all honesty. Come go with me, open your mind. Come go with me, we'll find the truth.
Absolutely true.